memory, all alone in the moonlight. Something, something, the moonlight. Blah, 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 blah. Yo, what's up, guys? Calling you now. Hey everybody, welcome to Calling You Now, your show to pick up the phone and call us, not later, not yesterday, but right now. It's me, Jovan, with Austin today, a dream team that I know people have been clamoring for, that you guys finally get.
Somebody in the comments said Austin's on my Archer till my Jovan Bradley's, and I was like,
Was that
yeah,
Bingle? Was that Bingle?
I don't know,
That was Bingle. It had to be Bingle.
but
Sounds like a Bingle comment.
I rocked with that comment. I was like, that's fun.
Is that usual comment scoundrel Bingle? There, I hate to say it, but there, at least in my chat, there's one other than me. There's one person everybody looks for when chat starts, and it's fucking Bingle. Guys, if you want to call in to debate us, what topics are we running today? Probably a bunch. You can pick up the phone 336-543-2101. I forgot to also go live on my page, but I'll do that now. Pick up the phone, argue with us about a lot of things: Christianity, conservatism, capitalism. They're all dog shit. And you could call us and we'll tell you why they're dog shit.
It's all bad. You know what? You know what isn't bad though. I'm really excited that we're gonna get another Trump campaign. I'm glad that he went ahead and announced that. I think that's really exciting. Like I was sad thinking that like it was like we were coming to the end of the era. I was hoping that he was gonna make good on that threat and like, you know, just like fuck the Constitution, fuck everything, right? In the age of the AI apocalypse, who the hell even cares? Not me. Colin.
I am very excited for the age of the destruction of the Constitution. I'm so ready to see the Constitution falter and fail that, like, you know, where would we be if not for more presidents running for a third term?
Mm-hmm.
You know, we need as many third termers as we can possibly get. Before the show, Austin and I got into a riveting discussion about cats.
Yeah.
None of you want to hear it, but just know you got two big musical people on board today. So
you want to call in and argue
aware.
with us about musical theater trivia, you can call in for that too. I don't think anyone in the chat will like it, but you're allowed to, and we will take you to school on musical theater history and trivia.
On God and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I see we have a call already from the UK. I'm being very cautious, by the way, that this ain't Martine. So we're gonna answer in a sec. I want everybody to like the live first, and before we answer it, I'm gonna pull up an old Martine call so I can make sure that this ain't Martine, because he owes us $100 before he's allowed to call in again. Jimmy's not here today, so 50 of those dollars will go to Austin instead, which would be I think a W of $100. But I don't trust no call from the UK that comes in that fast to not be the British MAGA menace. I'm gonna pull that call up.
I don't know who this is, but I'm excited. I'm riveted.
He's just a clown who keeps trying to talk to me and Jimmy, but we won't let him because he owes us what I like to call a waste my time tax. He wasted my time, and now he owes me money if he ever wants to speak to me again. And if this is him, that tax is gonna go up. This will have been more of a waste of time.
Somebody in the chat just said, if the Constitution doesn't matter anymore, then Mamdani can run for president. And I agree with that. Like, fuck yeah. Like, let's do some, if we're just breaking precedent, if we're saying it doesn't matter. Here's the thing I would also like to discuss on the show, if people want to call in, is this like well-known Nazi philosophy of the friend-enemy distinction that I can't remember the guy who first started this. His name was like Schmidt or something. The friend-enemy distinction basically it's just basically the rule that says when my team does it, it's okay. When your team does it, it's not. And it's just this distinction that they basically the idea that both teams are breaking the rules. Both teams are doing things that are meant to benefit them and not the other. Both teams are playing underhanded and doing scummy things. So it's okay when your own team does it in the service of your own agenda. It's not okay when the opposite team does it in the service of theirs. And both teams do that. And it is largely, when conservatives talk about the friend enemy distinction, it is largely a false equivalence because they're talking about things like, oh, well, you guys want to punish your political enemies too. And it's like, yeah, we want to like bring criminals to court through the process, like through use due process and like actual established jurisprudence to like hold criminals to account. You want to put people in black bags and put them in camps and murder them in the middle of the night for dissenting. Like those are two different things and two different modes of political punishment that we're talking about, but you're making the false equivalence that it's like, well, if you're going to do it, we're going to do it too. And this idea of like, well, everyone's breaking the rules. And if you guys can bend the rules, then we can bend the rules too. You guys cheated in the 2020 election, so we don't need to worry about what the Constitution says. It's like, yeah, but we didn't cheat in the 2020 election. There's no,
I can't believe we have a sitting president who still, and this is not a joke, goes, I won the presidency 3 times.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm gonna and what he said was I'm seeking a 4th term is what he said when he said I'm gonna run for re-election, insinuating I already won 3, I'm seeking a 4th. So,
and just remember, if he wins, everything's on the up and up. If he loses, then we cheated.
Exactly, of course. Yeah.
Well, let's bring up Roland again. Super and I was reminded by chat that Martine actually owes $150, 50 for wasting my time, 50 for wasting Jimmy's time, and 50 for wasting the screener's time. So if this is another waste, that number is going to go up by another 50. So we'll bring up Roland from the UK, who's a him conservative who likes Trump from a country that is not the United States. Roland, if you can hear me, you're on the line with Jovan and Austin. How are you doing today?
Hello. How are you doing, Austin?
Doing great, Roland. Do you want to know how Jovan's doing?
Not really. I'm happy just to talk to you if Jovan doesn't feel like he's able to debate.
Martine, God damn it! Did you think that was gonna work, dog? Did you think I don't know your voice? God damn, get the fuck out of here. Now you owe $200. I hope you know that you now owe $200. So until that number hits the super chats, stop calling. Goodbye. There's no shot, bro. There's
so
no
wild.
shot. He keeps calling. You want to know how I knew it was him? Because he is the first person to call. He's got like notifications on for our streams, and he is always the first person to call. My God.
It's so wild. The life of an internet troll always perplexes me. Like the amount of energy that people have to give to people who they despise just to see someone bothered, just to connect in some way. And it's the saddest way of connecting. It's such a bummer. It's just like, man, you found out the best way to get noticed, the best way to connect is to be a little dickling. And so that's what you do. That's what you spend your life, your consciousness doing. And it's just it bums me out. It bums me out that that's what your life is like. It's like that scene in The Simpsons when, like the wall falls down around Lenny's house and he's sitting in there like in his wife beater and his underwear eating beans. And he goes, please don't tell anybody how I live. That's what I feel like every time I come across an internet troll, like, and they're like, and I see them, I'm like, oh, I feel like I like saw someone who's just like, this is what I do. I have 40 sock puppet accounts and I just go around doing this all day long. Please don't tell anyone how I live.
Oh, I just realized, guys, I'm so sorry. If you're watching on my stream, my apologies. I was the only one you could hear. Well, now you can hear everybody. So my bad. That's on me. Chat said it should be more than 200 because of the tariffs. And you're right. Martain, it's 250 now. I'm actually adding $100 because someone also just said that you were on with other line hosts, some other show earlier this week. No, you now owe $250 if you want to speak on my channel or Jimmy Snow on the line. And I will talk to Jimmy about implementing this on the normal The Line as well. Lux is here and Luthien knows it. So all I got to do is tell Arden, and that's all the producers. And they'll all know that you owe money. Fudge out of here. Guys, if anybody else wants to call in, 336-543-2101. Tell us why we should be Christian. Tell us why we should be conservative. Tell us why we should be capitalists. All three of those things are goofy, ugly, and are only done by uggos.
Explain to us why private healthcare is better than universal healthcare. Explain to us why it makes sense for our tax dollars to give Israeli citizens universal healthcare while we don't have it. Call in and break down that one for us.
I didn't look at it, but didn't that resolution to combine our militaries pass through Congress?
Yeah. Oh my
brother, God. We are really in the fucking in the thick of it, dude.
It's wild. Yeah.
Oh man.
United States of Israel. It's
and I'm proud to be an Israelian.
Yeah. And I'm proud to be in the IDF, where I get free health care funded by the American taxpayer.
All right, let me see what it actually, I want to see what this bill actually did.
Somebody said thanks to a bunch of Dems. No, it was like 6 Democrats who voted to combine our militaries, and it was like all the Republicans. God, the online left drives me nuts too. I'm like, go look at the voting record. You're mad at like 6 people, and yeah, this is not me saying that the Democratic Party is it should not be criticized, but I hate when people are like, yeah, the Democrats voted to combine our militaries. It's like, no, they fucking didn't actually. They actually...
Yeah, it was 216 yes to 212 no. So that means pretty much most of the Democrats voted no.
Yeah.
And then the Senate was 50 yes, 46 no.
There you go. So you're mad at like 10 people. And be mad at those people, but also be mad at the
I assume one of them's Fetterman.
Probably. Be mad at the totality of the it's always the fucking Republicans. This idea that it's like, well, they did it too. It's like, again, false equivalence, that you're like, cool, 6 people, 6 elected officials, probably with moderate constituencies, voted in a way that fucks everybody over, which always happens. We're able to get their votes whipped or swayed by making a backdoor deal, whatever the fuck. But like, I just it drives me nuts that there's not appropriate ire for the Republican Party, that it's just sort of like taken as a given, that it's like, well, yeah, the Republicans are gonna do that, but those 6 Democrats. Zoran Mondani's a Democrat, you guys. The DSA primaries with the Democratic Party. Not because they want to.
I do think the Dems offer a lot of lip service on a lot of things. Like, I hate the Dems like Twitter account and their Threads account.
Oh, it's so
always
frustrating.
Like, it's always like, oh, I can't believe the Republicans are doing this. And I'm like, what have you done to stop them from doing this? And they're like, well, we told them not to. And I'm like, okay, well, homie, maybe don't what's the word for like blocking? Don't block the DemSoc candidates who are like actually have the balls, so that you can put in people like fucking Fetterman.
Yeah. No, again, do not get me wrong. Do not think that I'm saying that the Democratic Party is above reproach or should not be critiqued. They absolutely should. I just feel like the online left has unlimited smoke for the Democrats, and it's just sort of like taken as a given that it's like it's almost like we're all just tired and burn out on like Republicans. It's like, yeah, well, I mean, Republicans are gonna do what Republicans are gonna do, but it's always like yeah, the Democratic their Twitter account, their Threads account is always super cringe. It's always like this empty lip service that's just like that doesn't mean anything. Their response to the success of DSA candidates is really, really frustrating, but that's all to be expected. Like the DNC has always done that. They've always tried to tamp down the success of further left candidates in favor of more moderate people, because they think that the moderates have a broader chance of winning in more regions and helping them keep their foothold in power. And because largely a lot of them are just their political scope is out of date and needs to be updated. And yeah, there's plenty that should be rightly criticized. It was just when I looked at the chat and someone said, thanks to the Democrats, I was like, no, thanks to the Republicans. Of course, it's thanks to the Republicans. The Republicans have had the majority of power for the majority of my lifetime and most of the people's lifetimes.
Yeah. The other thing we got to remember, and I've started saying this, and I'm going to say it till the day I die. Always remember, chat, a centrist is a conservative, a liberal is a centrist, and if you are not preaching anti-capitalist sentiment, you don't give a fuck about liberation.
Yeah.
Just full stop. Full motherfucking stop.
That's the other thing too, is when we try to pin people down on the definitions of liberalism versus leftism, and I get called a centrist lib cuck shill, 50 times a week in my comments, and I'm like, cool, what is a leftist to you? And it's like, you have to be anti-capitalist, you have to be about breaking down capitalism and replacing it with a better system. I'm like, cool, then that means I'm a leftist. Those are my values. That right there is it. We're just talking about strategy here. We're talking about what's the best way to accomplish that. And in a duopoly, seeing the success of DSA candidates is very encouraging. And you also have to recognize that those people primary with the Democratic Party for a reason, because of the two options. One is like the mask off most evil people in the world who are completely shameless Nazis and like far right white supremacists, and the other are people who like think that they can get stuff done by playing ball and being friendly with white supremacist far right Nazis. And the people that we want to work with, that we want to be building our goals with, they're going to primary with the latter group.
Yeah, listen, guys, if you want to call in to debate on any of this, 336-543-2101. Just FYI, Griff, we don't really do office hours on this channel, so if you want to do an office hours call, you got to call me on like my channel. We don't do office hours on the line. We stick to strictly debate calls. So that's to the person in the queue. Make sure you guys are getting those super chats in, so Jimmy knows that once again he paired me up with a pairing that you guys like more than Jovan x Jimmy. Rule 34, 24, 34. I don't remember the rules. Paraform, thank you for the super chat. Said we're oh my god, this is so small. I don't know how Jimmy reads this. We tried doing nothing and we're all out of ideas. The US Dems forever. So true. So true. The US Dems love attempting the most middle of the road pushback against Republicans. Also, but you know what also annoys me is when the Dems keep going, we're going to bring up articles of impeachment. I'm like, and what? It does nothing.
Right.
It's as long as Republicans control the Senate,
right,
you doing articles of impeachment is like symbolic at best.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no route right now legally, but that's also the problem when we go like, well, what are you doing about it? It's like, well, there just really aren't many things you can do when the Supreme Court is tilted as heavily as it is, when they have the Senate and the House and the executive branch. Like, there's just not a lot you can do other than go like, I disapprove. And it's like, yeah. So it is like you almost have to start having a question about like, we need to be focusing more on local races and local municipalities and local policy and, and championing the people who are doing it well on the ground there.
My fucking light just fucking fell over.
Uh-oh.
Golly. Keep vamping while I fix this.
Yeah, but it is hot. People in the comments are saying that it's hot, and that's for sure. This is I feel like every summer feels like it's the hottest summer ever for me, and but yeah,
Because it is.
Yeah.
It just keeps getting hotter. You're not wrong about that.
Yeah.
Every summer is hotter than the last summer.
Yeah.
We're dying.
Yeah, I was driving home from Utah to LA the other day, and I stopped at a gas station, and I've never seen this before, but there were like 6 inches of fumes blasting out of my gas tank, like visible fumes, like wavy lines, and I was like, "Oh, that's not good." And I took it into a shop, and they were like, "Yeah, that happens sometimes when it's really hot because there's this little valve that gets stuck because it like gets like melted to the part that's supposed to be opening and releasing that, and then it doesn't." And I was like, "That sounds bad." And they were like, "Yeah, it can be." It's like, it looks
guys,
bad.
no, Austin is not on camera on my side. If you want to see Austin, you got to come watch on Jimmy Stone the Line. My side, you just see me and a bit of the prompts, just so everybody's aware of how we run the Sunday shows.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I know, chat. I know my set is not. It needs to be more performative. I need more lights. I just have to. I'll get them eventually.
I love it.
Some guy called, or some guy on Jimmy's. When was it? Tuesday when he was with Ari, and in the chat said that I was performative. And I showed up to the show at the end, and we got him to call in. And the only reason he gave is because I have LED lights in my background.
Wow.
And I'm proud to be an LED in.
Words don't mean anything anymore, I feel like. It's all the same words that keep coming up. Mid, clunky, performative. It's the same. It's just like cringe. It's all, I don't know. I feel like the internet increasingly, I'm like, is this even a real place? Is this,
I definitely want to be cringe. Oh, wait, something from Amazon I ordered just showed up. Hold on. Wait, I'm going to get it because it'll be fun to show on stream. But I definitely want to be cringe. And if you want to be cringe, call us 336-543-2101. Argue with us about any of the topics. Guys, trans people are more brave than every U.S. soldier ever has been and ever will be. Fight me on it.
I'm down with that. I was just visiting with one of my very close trans friends last week, and she was telling me about how she had to quit her job that she's been at for the last 8 years as a server. And she said it just got so bad. She was getting comments, what she told me was like 20 to 50 times a shift. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? She said, over the last 2 to 3 years, it feels like people can't even contain themselves. Like they can't stop. And it really is. It's so crazy. Like watching the response to the Odyssey film and seeing the way people talk about Elliot Page. I feel like I mean, we could have a whole conversation about the overt disgusting racism in response to Lupita Nyong'o and Zendaya and things like that. Like it drives me absolutely crazy every single time I see an out of context screenshot of Lupita's character crying as her child is being cast into the ocean and people going, so this is the face and I'm just like, you're talking about one of the most gorgeous people in the entire world, and it couldn't be more obvious that your only complaint is that the amount of melanin she has in her flawless skin. But the way that people talk about Elliot Page, dead naming him constantly, not using his proper pronouns, it feels like people are just openly the vitriol, and it feels like people are openly using slurs and and like very comfortable with it.
But also
it's just fucking it's fucking crazy. It's like it really is. It's so weird. It's like we like to think of ourselves as being really removed from the 1950s and the 1960s and an era of time where like you would walk down the street in a small American town, and if you weren't the exact archetype of white, straight, heteronormative cis presenting, you would get like strangers on the street would hurl slurs at you. And it feels like in 2026 we are fully back. I don't know if we ever really left, but it just feels amplified somehow.
We need to make bigots they stopped being afraid.
Yeah.
We need to make them afraid again. Like, it is ridiculous. Like, when I go onto Threads now, Threads separate of the bots, because there are just bots. We got to remember, dead internet is like completely real at this point. Right. So there's a bunch of bots that just say racist and transphobic and homophobic stuff because it gets clicks and that builds the whatever. But all of the people who are generally just like fine doing it now, like they're just like, I just saw a video the other day of there's a real person on TikTok who said that Black women are unattractive because Epstein avoided Black women in the people that he preditized.
That was their argument?
Like, essentially. And I was like, how fucking like you are the type of person and that like I want to fight. Like I physically want to throw hands with you because there's a level of I'm going to say something inflammatory just to piss people off. And I'm now saying it's the fault of Black women for being too ugly for Epstein to have gone after, which is
this white pedophile preferred to prey on white children. Therefore,
Black women ugly was his whole.
Oh yeah, I said that there's a guy that his whole shtick is he calls himself Bad Napoleon, and he sort of looks like Napoleon Dynamite.
I hate that fucking dude.
Oh god, God,
it's such fucking lazy rage bait, bro.
I hate him so much. I hate that his whole shtick is pretending to be Napoleon. Like if we want to talk about like cringe, that like your comedic shtick in 2026 is doing a bad impression of Napoleon Dynamite. I can't. It's like if someone's whole thing was being like, I'm gonna be like off-brand Zoolander, and everything you did was like you said something inflammatory that was rage bait, and then you did a Zoolander face. I can't think of something more cringe than being Napoleon Dynamite while being transphobic, or Napoleon Dynamite while like he said this thing the other day. He said, the unemployment is lower than it's ever been, and yet people think that Trump is a bad president. And I did say exactly what you said. I was like, I think I need to fight you. I responded to him. I was like, I think I need to feel my fist breaking your teeth. Like, I think that's the only thing that could cure me right now. I think the only thing that could fix what's broken in my soul is punching Bad Napoleon right in this area.
He pisses me off so much. And the problem with people like that is every time you try to call them out, they're like, well, see, I did what I wanted to do worked. It worked. I triggered you. And it's like, homie, I'm not triggered because you said something salacious. I'm triggered because it's lazy rage bait. There's good rage bait on the internet. Like, I don't know if anyone remembers that old Twitter thread where it was the dude was talking about communism or whatever. It's one of the funniest Twitter threads in the world. That's good rage bait. What this dude does is not good rage bait. And it's just annoying. Also, yes, chat, I got an Ultra Ball. I'm lining my Pokemon shelf up with Pokeballs, and this is ball number 2. So I finally got ball number 2. We're going to keep going every week. I'm going to get a new balls. Do I keep it on the stand? Probably, right? The stand looks so nice.
Well, then, and exactly that. It's like, well, if the goal is just to trigger, like Def Noodles does this too. And if the goal is just...
Def Noodles came out the closet this week.
No, were you talking about the Brad Pitt post?
Is that the one that I think that yeah. No, that I was like, homie, there is not a more coming out the closet tweet than this tweet that I'm reading right now.
The one that was like the gayification of Hollywood, and it was like Brad Pitt in Troy next to Tom Holland. It was like, it's like you can't possibly think that Brad Pitt wearing an actual skirt with a deep V is more masculine than
it's crazy.
It's so wild. But that guy's I like sometimes I look at that guy and I'm like, it is I get that the point of your channel is to just bother people like me. I get that the point is to say things that will make people like me go, oh man, I really hate you. Like, I want to fight you now. I get that that's the point. But what I think is like, how are you not embarrassed that that's what your life has become? That like you get one shot at consciousness and you're spending it doing that. That the goal when you wake up every day is like, what's the What's the most annoying way I can phrase something to make people mad? And knowing that like everybody hates you. Everybody hates you. And you're like, yeah, but they're looking. But they're looking at me. They're paying attention. And it's the most, this is something you can call in and debate us about. Conservatives are losers. Conservatives like the only way a conservative can be successful on the internet or in media or in politics is just to rage bait, because they're losers. They're not actually capable of getting people to pay attention to them and to like them by doing good things, by actually trying to contribute something worthwhile to society. The only way they can get attention, they can get build a business, get people to notice them, is by being the biggest fuck-ass losers in existence. Total losers.
Well, but it's not even just that. It's also the only way they can win is through culture war bullshit. They destroy the economy. Like, they absolutely tank it every time they're put in charge. They completely biff international policies, but they go, but we'll stop the transing of your kids. We'll stop the transing. And that is the thing that conservatives now are. They're like, yeah, fucking culture war shit. Yeah, identity politics. And it's like, I don't know, guys, maybe talk about the fact that we've spent billions of dollars on a failed war with Iran. Maybe that's more important than like letting trans kids be trans kids. I don't know. Am I crazy? And then you the other side of it is you have all of these people who, when they talk about these geopolitical issues, they never want to start where the conflicts begin. Like, I hate when people get into the fucking Palestine genocide and they're like, well, October 7th. I'm like, homie, this has been going on since the 40s. Why are we just talking about this one? And they do the same thing with the Iran war. It's like, oh, but we struck Iran. I'm like, Iran has hated us since we did a coup on them in the 50s. Iran rightfully hates us. Like, they actively should. We put a dictator in charge of their country. And it's like, if another country did half the shit the US does to them, to us, they would be the bad guy in every movie we've ever made ever.
Yeah. So you can call in and you can talk to us about the claim that trans people are the most brave people in society, and try to refute that and tell us why we're wrong about that. You can talk to us about how conservatives are losers who don't know what it takes to, they don't have the capability to do things to actually be liked on the merits of contributing good things to society. You can call in and talk to us about why capitalism is a superior system and why it's good that we don't have universal health care. In fact, we have a caller that wants to talk about why we shouldn't have universal health care. But I don't know if you want to jump on that. What do you think?
Yeah. Let's bring up Dr. Erica, who is a she/her liberal from Ohio, who wants to tell us that there should not be universal health care. Dr. Erica, you're on the line with Jovan in Austin. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you guys?
Right, now, I would be better if my healthcare didn't cost me $500 a month.
Well, here's the thing. How will we pay for universal health care? I'm coming from this from two. Well, I'm coming from this from two. From one perspective. I'm an Army brat. My father was a career military officer, so I know what it's like to go to the hospital as a dependent and what you go through. I don't think you guys know what you go through if it was universal health care. Plus, I'm a retired internal medicine doctor, and I spent 8 years in the Army myself. I didn't want to be a career person, but to go to the hospital or the clinic when you are an Army dependent is a nightmare.
Okay, Erica, so you know a lot about the military. How are we currently funding the billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars that we're funneling into a war in Iran right now? Who's paying for that? How are we paying for that?
Well, that's why I wanted to ask you. We are printing money. Do you know what the debt is? We don't have It would be paid by taxes, but I'm just saying it would be paid by taxes.
Hey,
but
Dr. Erica,
we are so much in debt right now.
How much does the U.S. pay on average per person per year on healthcare right now?
I couldn't tell you the statistic.
$12,000 typically per person per year. That's the average the U.S. pays in healthcare. Do you know what the average per person per year cost is in Canada, where they have free healthcare?
Yeah, but they have problems up there as well.
Hold on, we'll get there. Do you know how much they pay on average per person per year in Canada?
No, I do not. I don't have the
$6,000.
Right
$6,000 a year.
Right, and
so
they complain.
Where are we going to pay for it? We're already. Hold on, Dr. Erica, we'll get there. We're already paying for it. That's my point here. Whenever somebody goes, how will we pay for this? We quite literally already are. We are already paying more than it would cost us per person to pay for universal health care, for private health care that not everyone is able to access. There are millions of people in this country who are underinsured. I think it's 40 million are underinsured and 20 million are uninsured. Those people should get insurance. They should be able to go to a doctor's office if something is wrong and not go into medical debt. Now, we can talk about quality of care because, fun fact, Canada beats us in every metric except for I think it's administrative efficiency is the only metric the U.S. does better than them in. They beat us in every other metric when it comes to quality of care within all the same countries that are in the top 12.
Then why do most of the citizens up there complain about it? The long waits to get
they don't actually.
They don't.
A procedure.
They don't.
They
actually are talking all the time about how they have a far superior system than us, and there are countries all over the world where Americans travel to seek medical sanctuary. We do medical tourism in the United States so we can go to places where we can actually afford to have procedures done that we need to have done. And there's no reason why we should be doing that. When you ask the question, when you start the call with the question, how are we going to pay for this? It's exactly what Jovan just said. We put money into a public trust to pay for things that are meant to benefit the public. It's supposed to be money that comes back to us in the form of services like healthcare and education and housing. It's supposed to come back to us. Our country just has a completely warped way that we're using the money that we're pouring into the public trust of tax funds. We use the vast majority of it to fund warfare and killing people. That's why I asked you at the beginning, how are we paying for that? Because the vast majority of our tax dollars go toward bombing little kids and killing people that you've never heard of. And you're totally fine with that. You're like, I don't know what they can use my tax dollars however they want. But if I say, what if we used your tax dollars to make sure everybody's insured and everybody has access to healthcare? You're saying we can't do that because then they might have to wait in line a little longer.
But I'm not against current system if it was working correctly of Medicaid paid by the states and for people that are uninsured. I have no problems with people getting Medicaid. I do have problems when the Republicans want to cut Medicaid funding and that kind of thing. But if the current system was the same as it is now, but functioning better, I've got no problems pay for their medical care with their own money, and people that can't afford it get on Medicaid. Now, I'm over 65,
as long as there is, Dr. Erica, as long as there is private insurance, that private insurance will nickel and dime even the public option into unaffordability. It's just the way that it works when you allow the private sector to try to run anything.
Well, I can understand that because even as a doctor, I did not want to pay for private medical insurance because it almost makes you want to feel like you should get sick because it's like every time you make a premium payment, it's like you're throwing money out of the window. And it's like, so I can sort of see where you're coming from there. But, okay, so like I'm over the age of 65. And so I have Medicare. Medicare is going to run, or at least they keep saying this. They've been saying this since the 70s, actually. Medicare is going to run out of funding by the year 2030, I think they're currently saying. But I'm for it. You retire at 65 and you get Medicare. And I wouldn't even, if you're talking about universal health care, I guess that could be the same thing as Medicare for all. That would be paid by taxes. But I'm just telling you, it's not efficient.
There should only be a public option. There should not be the ability for private insurances to screw people over. There should be one public option that covers everything you need to, that is set up in a way where if the doctor requests a service, it is instantly approved. There shouldn't be, okay, so I have a chronic health issue, right? Where I pay for my insurance out of pocket because I work for myself. I have a chronic health issue. Every time I need to get my meds refilled, my doctor has to resubmit to my insurance, even though my chronic health issue is never going to go away. And so sometimes I have to wait for weeks in between prescription refills because my health insurance has to approve it again. Our health insurance is dookie garbage poo-poo pants. Everybody should be covered at all times.
You guys have dreams that this is going to work efficiently. I'm telling you, based on being an Army brat and then an Army doctor myself for 8 years, those same things are going to happen, and it's going to be tenfold. You guys don't know how.
Why?
Yeah, so this is untrue, and I'm going to correct something I said earlier. When it comes to administrative efficiency, the U.S. is number 9th. The UK, which also has free healthcare, is number 1 in administrative efficiency. There is no reason our administrative efficiency. The only reason our administrative efficiency is so low is because of administrative bloat. Most of what we pay, I think it's like 30% of the money we pay for healthcare in the US goes to administrative costs because insurance companies and hospitals will nickel and dime. There's no reason why there will be a period at the start of this where there will be a run on hospitals. Absolutely. It's without a doubt it will happen because people are finally going to be able to go and get the care they need. So you might see a run on hospitals. That will then fall off incredibly much. Do you know how many people go to the emergency room for simple, you should because you were a medical doctor, for simple procedures because they don't have insurance and so they can't go to a normal like primary care physician because they will ask for money up front. So we have an emergency room system that's bloated with wait times because people go in for non-emergency services.
It'll be
that will go away.
Even 10 times more.
No, it won't because people can go to the emergency room is already universal care. That's already how the emergency room is structured. You can't get denied at an emergency room because you don't have insurance. Even if you are in medical debt.
Do you know how long you wait? Do you know how long you wait?
There's no way I'm saying, I feel like I already said this.
Erica, the reason why you wait is because everyone has to go to the emergency room because they can't afford to go somewhere else. If everyone had insurance, if we had universal health care, if everyone just was insured and everybody could go see the different specialty doctors that they need to see. So it's like if I just have this, a gastrointestinal problem and I need to go see a GI doctor, I could go just do that rather than taking myself to the ER because I'm not insured. So people go to the ER because they can't afford the appointment at the other office, which leads to the higher wait times. But if everyone just had access to universal health care, that wouldn't be a problem because they wouldn't be clogging up. It would only be people who are actually be experiencing a legitimate emergency who would be in the emergency room, and everybody who can go see a specialist doctor about whatever issue they've been having that is sort of nagging at them, they would be able to afford to do that comfortably. And I can tell you just from anecdotal evidence that there are years where I am on my union's health insurance through the Screen Actors Guild, and it's a very good insurance that SAG-AFTRA has. And when I'm on that insurance, I go to the doctor all the time for anything because it's a $25 copay. I can afford it, and I rest assured knowing that like this is something I can afford to do. I can do these little checkups. I can get regular physicals. I can get regular blood work done when I need to get it done. When I am not on my union's health insurance and I'm paying through the private market out of pocket, I don't go to see a doctor unless it's an emergency, and then or unless it's something that I'm like, I have to go. And then I go to the emergency room because they're not going to ask for money up front, and I do have to wait for hours because I'm in the room with a bunch of other people who are in the same situation as me. And what I'm saying is we shouldn't be in that situation.
And I want to just really quickly, I want to add on to what Austin said before you start, Erica. We did a study in the National Hospital Ambulatory Medical Care Survey. They did a study where they analyzed emergency room visits from 2016 to 2022. They found that 45% of emergency room visits, 40% of emergency room visits were categorized as primary care treatable, which means these are things that could have been treated by seeing a primary care doctor. So this idea that we would have a massive run on emergency rooms is factually untrue and not supported by the evidence.
But you're going to have a run on seeing your what used to be your private doctor.
At the start, yes.
If everybody has universal health care, it's gonna take you longer to get in to see your private doctor.
At the start. Yeah, wait, at the start?
Yes.
There will be, wait. Listen, Erica, listen. At the start of this, there will be longer wait times because people are going to try to go get things taken care of that they have never been able to take care of. But do you know what then happens? You should know this as a previous physician, that then people will be able to have access to preventative care easier, which means they will, as time goes on, they will need to go to the doctor less because they're able to adequately get preventative care. That's not a dream. That's how it's worked for every other country.
A really good concrete example of this, Erica, is the way that lines and wait times worked at the beginning of the COVID pandemic. So when we first started setting up testing areas that were free testing areas where anyone could drive up, get an appointment, get the swab shoved up their nose and get tested so that we could all, and we all started using that. There was a run on those areas early on because if our government's going to say, hey, we're going to offer a medical service to you for free in a very scary time where everyone's scared that they might be getting this deadly respiratory illness. Initially, it was, I don't know if you remember this, for a few months, it was really hard to get an appointment and you would have to book it days in advance and then you would have to wait in a long line of cars to get in. But once everyone started getting their results back and being told that they were negative and everyone started settling into the routine of mask wearing and social distancing and hand washing and just like getting regularly checked, it started to become really easy to book an appointment at your local Walgreens to just show up and get tested, and there's no line, and it wasn't hard.
What world are you guys living in? What world are you guys living in?
The world where this is how every other country has worked.
I needed to see a rheumatologist recently. Do you know that I asked for an appointment in February, and I could not get an appointment until August to see?
Yeah, that's
you can't just.
Erica, you're talking about the private healthcare system. You're complaining about the private healthcare system right now.
But you're going to put stress on it if it's universal healthcare, because people that wouldn't have gone to a rheumatologist down the street is now going to say, oh, I can go see my rheumatologist anytime I want to. No, you can't. The wait is going to be doubled or tripled.
The wait is the wait now for most people, Erica, is astronomical because they can't afford the care. So right now there are almost 100 million people that wait indefinitely because they can't even access the care. I'm sorry that some people might have to wait more, but I would rather that those people wait. Erica, please don't interrupt me. Please don't interrupt me. Please don't interrupt me. I would rather that the wait time for all of us becomes a little more and people are able to actually access care. I will gladly wait a little longer if the family of 4 down the street don't have to open up a GoFundMe so they don't go bankrupt. Which, by the way, medical debt is the number one reason for bankruptcies in this country. Did you know that? It's the number one reason people go bankrupt is medical debt.
I'm trying to tell you guys from personal experience, when people can just go to the doctor anytime they want to, the emergency rooms will be fuller than they are now.
Why would that be the case? Erica, people can already go to the emergency room anytime they want. Why would they be more full?
Well, because of the money. Because of the money. You can't, it's like, okay, so like I said, I was an Army brat.
40% of emergency room visits are primary care treatable. They wouldn't need to go to the ER. They can go to a primary care doctor.
It's going to go up when everybody has insurance. Everybody has insurance.
Why would that happen?
Longer. Because that's how it works.
No, Erica, slow down. Okay. Erica, slow down. Erica, slow down.
I'm trying to tell you from personal experience.
No, Erica, slow down. That doesn't make any sense. If 40% of ER visits right now are primary care treatable, that means that those people, if they were properly insured, wouldn't need to go to the ER. There's no reason why Erica, listen, there's no reason why giving more people access to healthcare would make the emergency rooms more busy. That doesn't make any sense.
It will.
Erica, stop. Listen. People already can go to the emergency room. Anyone can right now. So the amount of people that would go to the emergency room for any issue are already going there right now. All giving those people insurance does means is that they can spread them around to primary care so that they don't all have to be in one place. There's no reason why more people would go to the emergency room if they had access to better health care than are right now. The reason why emergency rooms are currently overrun is because 40% of the people who are going to the emergency room don't have access to other options. If we give them other options, then it relieves that pressure. Does that make sense?
No, because a lot of people still don't go to the emergency room or their private primary care doctor because of copays. If there are no more copays, then when little Johnny wakes up with a sore throat and doesn't want to go to school, instead of mom just saying, well, just stay in bed all day, she's going to rush him to her primary care doctor. But then so is the lady on the other side of the street. It's going to make private offices now more crowded.
Erica, so your argument is that giving more people access to affordable health care is bad because more people will be able to take advantage of that affordable health care, and that will make it harder for you. Do you understand how like heartless and inhumane and selfish that sounds? That right now you're saying, little Johnny's got a sore throat, and now they get to take him to the doctor, but they couldn't take him to the right. So, but what we're saying is they should be able to. People should be able to go see a doctor when they are ill. When they have something going on that they don't understand with their body, people should be able to go see a medical professional to get that looked at, and they shouldn't be afraid to go do that because the cost is going to bankrupt them. That's what we're saying, and you're saying Yeah, it's fine if they're afraid to go to the doctor because the bill is too high. Because I don't want to have to
Medicaid
behind those people.
I also want to point. I want to point something out, and I'm going to give you some real hard numbers, because when you keep saying the wait times are going to get astronomical and it's going to be impossible to get care because of my own experience, that's just not factually based in any like real world data. The real world data says that countries that have universal health care oftentimes have better access to that care. The Netherlands, universal health care. Guess what? 82% of their population are able to get same day or next day services. Germany, 76%. France, 63%. Australia, 59%. The UK, 57%. The United States is 49%. So this idea that we have these we're going to have these astronomical wait times, all these other countries have it figured out, but is America too stupid to figure it out? That we can't just kind of copy what these other countries do to get their wait times so low?
You know what else America is? A country of complainers. I'm telling you. It's going to be longer waits.
Erica, you sound like the most 65-year-old person I've ever heard in my life in this phone call. I swear to God, you sound so much like the exact kind of person who is the product of a generation who fell ass backwards into everything, into like economic prosperity that no one could possibly fathom, got to buy houses for $20,000 on jobs that were at the bottom of the economic tier, and then grew up to go, what a bunch of complainers. You have no fucking idea what people who were born in the generations lower than you had to walk into as adults. That we were just told, hey, sorry, you can't afford a house unless you're a millionaire, and you can't have health care unless you have a job that pays you at least $250,000 a year. And we were just like, I guess I'll just rent a one-bedroom apartment for the rest of my life and go without health care every other year. And you're like, country full of complainers. You never had to worry about that shit a day in your life, Erica. And it has resulted in you being a calloused, selfish person who doesn't care about the plight of other people. And
I'm trying to tell you the reality.
I'm trying to tell you the reality, Erica.
No. Erica, I'm giving you empirical data in this call, and you keep going, no, the data is wrong. I'm right, the data is wrong. When the data for every other country tells us the same thing. It's not reality.
Okay. When I first got out of my residency, and I was full of idealism, I came up with, instead of people having private medical insurance, I set up a program where they would pay me, I guess I should say, instead of my office, me, because I was a solo practitioner. They would pay me a monthly fee whether or not they were sick or not, instead of buying insurance. Okay? And it's unlimited visits. Do you know that people would be coming in almost every week for most minor things? They would bring, little Susie has a sore throat today. Johnny fell down and hurt his arm yesterday.
Man, you really hate people, don't you? Like, you really don't like that people want to feel safe and want to feel taken care of. It bothers you so much that, like, why are you a doctor? Why did you go into healthcare if you're so annoyed with people coming to get healthcare? If you're so annoyed that people walk in and go, hey, I feel sick right now. Can you help me out as a healthcare professional? What a bunch of whiners. What a bunch of whiners. Little Susie stubbed her toe. Why the hell did you get into this line of work? People are entitled to do that. That's why there are doctors, Erica.
Then people that call in to make an appointment could not come in to see. You would only see so many patients per day. And then people that were really sick.
Erica, why is this not an issue in Germany? Why is this not an issue in the Netherlands? Why is this not an issue in France? Why is this not an issue in Australia? Why is this not an issue in the UK?
I hear those countries do complain. I hear that the UK
Erica,
complains.
I don't want to hear I'm giving you direct numbers.
And
I'm giving you direct numbers. I hear is nonsense. This is from go look up the Commonwealth Fund and like.
I would want to talk to some of those people directly and see if that's the case. because, like I
Well, you
said,
can't talk to them directly in the United States because they died because they couldn't get access to care.
I've always seen something in the news about the people in the UK complaining about their wait times, and I thought
that's because the UK is moving. That's because the UK is opening up private options, and it's fucking up their system. The UK has been slowly and gradually introducing private healthcare, and it's been fucking up their healthcare system. They consistently complain about this.
But people from Canada talk about how long
Canada struggles with a lack
oncology.
Because Canada doesn't have as many specialists. Because there's a lack of specialists. So they only have so many specialist doctors. So there's less doctors to give the care to, because Canada just has a lack of specialists at the moment. You know who doesn't have a lack of specialists? The US.
Why did it take me from I needed to see a rheumatologist in February, and I couldn't get an appointment until August. Also,
Erica, again, every time you bring up that anecdote, you are talking about a problem of the private healthcare system. You are not talking about an issue created by access to universal healthcare.
Tell you, it's going to be worse if it's universal
healthcare. Do you know what makes it harder to? Do you know what makes it harder to get an appointment, Erica? When your health insurance doesn't allow every doctor in your network, so you have a smaller pool of doctors to choose from. Do you know what would make that pool larger? If we got rid of in and out of network care, which only exists to expand the pockets of private insurance.
Do you have
so if you could choose from more people?
Do you have any statistics on how many doctors wouldn't become doctors if there was universal health care? Because
why would doctors all of a sudden stop becoming doctors? Why would the salaries change? You're just making stuff up.
Because
again, we already do pay. We literally pay. Most of our pay goes to administrative costs. It doesn't even go to the doctors.
If it's universal health care, doctors would become employees of the federal government. They're not going to pay.
No, they wouldn't. They would be employees of the hospitals they work at. What are you talking about? It's just that they would be paid. They would just their bills, when the doctor bills something, they would bill the US government. They are still private employees. They would just bill the US government like they do with Medicaid. Doctors who take Medicaid aren't all of a sudden government employees. They just bill Medicaid. What?
But they are going to become
Erica, it is so crazy that you are on Medicaid, that you are on government subsidized health care.
Are you saying that universal health care is just an insurance card and not the doctors?
It's just a taxpayer funded. Yes, it's just a taxpayer funded insurance card that everybody gets, but by paying taxes and being a citizen of the United States, and you just have access to health care.
But that does determine how much the doctors are paid. Don't you know? That's why a lot of doctors won't take.
And we will make sure that doctors are still paid well. And we
pay 34.2%. 34.2%. Erica, please listen. Erica, please listen. Please listen. 34.2% of our healthcare cost is administrative bloat. We would have a spare $812 billion a year that we can give to doctors. We also wouldn't be spending as much on procedures that don't cost us. Oh my God, bro!
So you guys are
listening,
be
Erica.
Like Doge,
you aren't listening right
like
now.
Erica.
You guys are
you are like not Doge listening.
And go in there and clean the excess.
I'm sorry. Erica,
you're not
I have
listening.
to mute you right now.
You just need to be right, and you're not listening to the fact that we're actually giving you facts and figures here. Sorry, Jovan, keep going.
No, it's fine. It's just I can tell you are not absorbing any of the things we're saying, Erica, because you start talking before we're finished saying them.
Right.
So nothing we say is sinking in. You have an idea in your head that isn't supported by the data. And instead of taking in the data and changing your ideas based on what the data tells us, you just go, no, the data must be wrong because I've seen something else. Well, I've seen a magical unicorn that poops out tacos. Doesn't mean it's real. Doesn't mean it's true. So I like, we've been going for 30 minutes And every time I've given you data, you keep going, well, in my experience. But unfortunately, debates aren't had by what you experience. They're had by empirical data. If you want to say something before we unmute her, Austin, feel free.
I would just say this, Erica. Like, we've all got anecdotes, and even your anecdotes that you're sharing about needing to go see a rheumatologist and like having a long wait time. As I pointed out to you, that is a problem and a symptom of a broken private healthcare system. You are not criticizing universal healthcare when you make that criticism. You're saying it would get worse under universal healthcare, but there's nothing that actually supports that assertion. I would say to you, like, when you talk about like the money and where's the money going to go, Jovan brought up bloat. I had my appendix out a couple of years ago, and they charged me $65,000 for that procedure. And then they gave me a discount and said that they were only going to charge me $25,000 because I was paying out of pocket. And I said, I'm not going to pay you $25,000 for that. What else would you like to do? And they said, we can't lower the costs. And I said, well, then I'm not going to pay you. And the financial department for the hospital looked me in the eye and said, don't. And I said, what do you mean? They said, don't pay us. That'll just go to collections and it won't go on your credit report. And we just won't collect any money from you. And I said, that's insane. I will give you some money. I'll pay you $2,500 or maybe even $5,000. Like, thank you for taking my appendix out. Thank you for saving my life. I would like to pay you for it. I'm just not going to pay you $25,000. And they said, don't pay us anything. We'll just pass it on to collections. I'm one person. They're doing that all the time under this broken private healthcare system. A lot of the cost and a lot of the money that's going around that we don't know where it's landing is just administrative bloat. It's just people making up numbers. They're just, because of the private insurance system, they're just saying that it cost, they just charge whatever they think they can. They just say a thing costs whatever number they think they can get away with charging, because they think if we can get you to pay us $65,000, we'll take $65,000. And that's not only like a nonsensical system, it's a purely corrupt and evil system. And what we're talking about is having something that everybody needs in society, adequate healthcare. It should not be this corrupted by money and by greed, and it shouldn't be this nonsensical. There should be a system to it that makes sense. We all pay into a public trust. We all get to benefit from that trust, and our healthcare system is funded by that trust. It's really not that complex of an idea to understand.
We have, and this is the last thing I'm going to say, and then I'll unmute you, Erica, and hopefully you take some of this to heart. We have thousands of insurance plans within the United States, thousands of them. They all have their own billing rules. They all have their own prior auth requirements. They all have their own process for approving claims and appeals and coding requirements. They all have all of them. So insurance plays a giant role in length of the process of care. We can simplify all of this. Simplify it all, and things will be easier. We can also do things alongside making healthcare free and affordable for everyone. We can invest in primary care doctors and get more people into schooling and not have it cost them an arm and a leg to go to school to learn how to do this. We can invest in building clinics and funding those clinics. We have the money to do it. We just would rather spend it on forever wars for oil. Erica, I'm going to unmute you now. If you have any final thing to say before we move on from the call, you should be unmuted now. You should have heard the beep to unmute.
Yeah. Obviously, I'm a boomer, and you guys are dreamers. And
you didn't listen to a single thing we said.
It's not gonna.
Erica, goodbye. You didn't listen to a single thing we said. Goodbye.
I wanted to ask her.
It's so disrespectful.
It is.
It's when ridiculous. Me and Austin said way more than just you're a boomer, to come back and just go, well, you're a boomer. I'm a boomer and you're a dreamer. So that's so disrespectful to not listen to a single word we said.
I like how many times. What I was going to ask her is, I was going to say, how. So the amount of times that she said, like, "Oh, little Johnny's got a sore throat," or and it's like Erica's so dismissive of other people's issues, but she's saying, "I need to see a rheumatologist," and I wanted to say, like, why should I give a fuck that you need to see a rheumatologist? Who cares? You sound like a whiner to me. You sound like a complainer. Why are you complaining about your rheumatoid arthritis or your whatever why are you complaining about it? Who cares? There are other people with bigger issues than that. There are people who are dealing with like kidney failure and stage 4 cancer. Why the fuck should I care that you need to see a rheumatologist? You sound like a whiner. You sound like an entitled little whiner. But in Erica's world, if she's got a problem, it's top priority. She should get to the front of the line. If anybody else has a problem, if little Johnny's got a sore throat, if somebody's feeling chest pains and they want to get him checked out with an EKG, that person should have to get behind Erica because her needs come first. Just one of the most selfish, entitled generations to ever exist. And it's
somebody in the chat said this, and I fucking wholeheartedly agree. They said with the way she listened, she could not have been a good PCP.
Oh, the disdain that she seems to have for people who need healthcare. That's what I said. I was like, you seem to hate people who like need the assistance of a medical professional. I can't believe that you were a doctor. Like, you just seem to every person that comes in, like, oh my God, here we go again. Bunch of whiners. Oh, I accidentally cut my thumb off with a table saw. Fucking put a rag on it. God, bunch of whiners.
Hey, chat. There's like 1,600 of you watching on the YouTube right now, and we don't even have 1,000 likes yet. So y'all need to hit that like button if you want to try to get more calls. And Erica was the last. We had a bunch of people call like while the Erica call was going on, but none of them wanted to hang around apparently. And Turd, I know you're watching. Lux snoozed your call. Turd, if you call this show again, I will just belittle you like I belittle you every time you call. So I just want you to know, anytime you call, I will treat you like the human scum that you are. That's more lore you don't know, Austin. There's another caller named Turd who is just the worst person.
Let's read some of these super chat. A person named Turd.
Well, I call them Turd. I made that name up for them.
Oh, good.
Meg with the super chat. We are going to read super chats $5 or more, by the way. Meg said, let's be so for real. She's probably a massage therapist. Brilliant. So other lore.
She's a chiropractor.
Well, other lore. This dude called my show once. He's called the line too. And when I found out who Jimmy was talking to, I explained the lore to him, and Jimmy called him out for it too. So he called my show saying he was a therapist and saying why gender-affirming care is not good for kids. And then we got him to admit that he's a massage therapist. So I was like, shut the fuck up. Crazy times. Michaela, thank you for the super chat, said, I'm an MA for a derm and listen to people tell me pointless shit, but still not nearly as evil as her. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. What else we got here? I like Mira Featherbed. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, people were talking about how they would hate to have a primary care physician like Erica, and it's like, I think we all have stories like this of people who get into the profession because it's a good way to make money and who like genuinely seem to have a disdain for actually helping people. I had this doctor who I was trying to find medication for, a primary care physician for just my panic disorder, and I was, explaining to her like what the symptoms of my panic attacks are and how often they happen and how like debilitating it can be, and it was so funny. Every time I would come in, she seemed so annoyed because I was dealing with a psychological issue, and she would just be like, oh, geez. And she'd be like, I don't know, try this one. And one day she goes, you know what? I'm going to be completely honest with you. I think this is all in your head. And I was like, oh, yeah, it's a psychological condition. I was like, yeah, that's where it exists. Like, it is a disorder of my brain's interaction with my nervous system. Like, I am fully aware that it's all in my head. Like, it feels like I'm having a heart attack, and I know I'm not actually having a heart attack. It is a psychosomatic reaction and a simulation from my nervous. But it was just so crazy that she said, it sounds like your panic disorder is in your head. And I was like, yeah, you went to medical school? I was like, yeah, it is. It 100%. I was like, and my head is part of my body, and is
crazy.
Yeah. Anyway,
Mira Featherbender, thank you for the super chat of $20. Said, bitch, wait. Bitch, Mayo Clinic called my doctors for my case because it's so rare. Out of network with VA. Know what happened? Admins outside the VA denied, not doctors like usual. Sent me back a year before we found in network 4 hours away. Crazy. Meg also said, fuck you, Erica. What if little Susie's sore throat ends up being something contagious? And because you think she doesn't matter, she gives it to an immune-compromised kid in her school and they die. Would be terrible. Skeptical Cybrarian. I love that name. I imagine how much money we are. Imagine how much money we would have to pay doctors if we weren't paying health insurance and hospital CEOs millions upon millions of dollars. So fucking true.
Right.
So true.
Yep.
Afnesia, I love how Erica was talking about how bad our Canada wait times are, and her experience to sound almost identical when it comes to wait times. Cognitive dissonance, bruh. And we'll read some more. We'll read some more later. We got some calls coming in. Jonathan, a him liberal from New York, is calling to talk about Trump's foreign policy. Hey, Jonathan, I thought you were Liam, a centrist from South Carolina. What happened to Liam?
Who?
Liam, the person who called from this number 3 days ago.
I don't know what you're talking about. This is my first time calling on. I just literally bought this phone 2 days ago.
Sure you did. So in 3 days, you're saying Liam not only gave out his he retired his phone number, but you then bought that phone in 3 days.
I mean, people can have duplicate numbers.
They cannot.
I don't know what you're trying to say.
It's kind of a big thing with phones, is that there are no duplicate numbers.
I mean, bro, if I was that Liam guy you're talking about, I would just tell you I'm Liam. I'm not Liam, bro. I don't know who the Liam
so
person is.
If I go and pull up the show from the 23rd, and I go and pull up Liam's call, he's not going to have your exact voice. You want to play this game with us right now?
Yes, you definitely can play this game. What are you talking about, bro?
Beautiful. Let's play this game. You're going back to the queue while I pull up the show from Thursday. I don't like being lied to. If it turns out I'm not being lied to, I will gladly take the L. But we're going to go pull up Thursday's show. I'm going to go pull up the Liam call, and we're going to hear and listen. The beauty is that I can share. Was the show on Thursday with Lux, right? That's the show on Thursday, Lux? That was with you? Do you recognize the voice? Lux is here. All right, here, I got Thursday's show pulled up. Let me pull up the comments. Let me pull up the comments from Thursday's show.
My exact philosophy, too. I'm like, I don't remember anyone I've ever spoken to on this show. I will say, though, that there's an Austin who's talking mad shit in chat and has been the entire show. And as an Austin who's hosting, it offends me that you're using my name and talking mad shit. And call that in.
Austin in chat either it's so weird. Sometimes he vehemently agrees with us, sometimes he vehemently disagrees. So odd. Hey, who wants to listen to this real quick and tell me who this sounds like?
Ridiculous bounce.
Hold on, just real quick. This is Liam's call. I'm just gonna. Okay, it's mostly Jimmy Snow. I'm just waiting.
That was the size.
I'm waiting for Jimmy to stop talking. Okay, Jimmy. Jimmy.
Conversation give a fuck about
I'm looking for a
video games. I'm fine with people fucking their video games. I don't give a
Sorry. What was this call about, Liam, who lied to us? Did he hang up? Oh, he hung up. Well, I think he hung up because he realized that he lied.
He was going to get caught. Damn, I wanted to hear about Trump's foreign policy. I wanted to hear why Trump's foreign policy is good. I think it's good to bomb schools with a little school, little girls, just go schoolgirls, and for no reason, and then say that you won the war, and then for 6 months go we're about to make a deal to win the war. Oh, we had to bomb them again to make sure that they couldn't make bombs, even though we already said that we already eradicated their ability to do that a year ago. But yeah, I'm curious.
Here it is. Here it is. I got it pulled up. Let's hear if this voice sounded the same to you guys.
I'm a centrist, so. Yeah, I'm mainly calling in to just make this point because I was arguing with.
Does that sound familiar to anybody? It's the same guy. Listen, I don't mind if you want to give a fake name, a fake state, a fake age, but when you're called out on it, just admit it.
Yeah.
Like, why are you going to start the call with a lie?
Yeah.
It blows my mind. And then you're going to get upset that we caught you on a lie. All right, I guess we'll take this next. Oh, we got a theist calling. Let's go. Love a good theist call. Joe, him from South Carolina, a conservative theist who's calling about the moral argument for Christianity. Let's bring him up. Joe, you are on the line with Jovan and Austin. How are you doing today?
Man, I'm doing fantastic. How are you guys doing?
All right. The sky is blue. The tank is clean. The tank's clean. We're doing all right, Joe.
I don't know what the tank's clean means.
I don't know what it means either, Joe. But I'm into it.
I'm the only Finding Nemo fan in this call right now. Okay.
Oh, okay. Oh man,
yes,
I can't believe I missed the
clean.
reference. I ashamed of myself.
Okay.
I guess we know which of the three of us is autistic. Anyway, Joe, I assume your moral argument for Christianity. I just would like to know what your plan is here. Are you going to prove us that Christianity is true, that God exists, that Christianity is good? What is your moral argument for Christianity going to illustrate?
Yeah, I think it'll illustrate that. Basically, yeah, that the God of the Bible is the only possible grounding for the universal reality of rights and wrongs that we all acknowledge and we all live by every day. I'd just start with.
Love it. Drop the syllogism for us. Drop the syllogism. I'm so ready. I'm going to write it down.
Okay. I actually don't have like a syllogism. I was kind of going to chat with you for a second, but I could go ahead and talk just kind of on, the last caller, you called him a liar, and I'm assuming, do you guys both believe that lying is wrong, or is it just not advantageous for society?
I would say it depends on the lie.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I can go with that.
Some lies are immoral and some lies aren't. If someone comes up, if my kid asks me, is Santa real? And I say yes, I'd say that's probably not an immoral lie.
Or if my kid asks you, like, hey, do you like this picture I painted? And you think that it could use some work.
And it's
tell your kid,
dog shit.
Like, I'm going to be completely honest with you. Like, you're not good at this. I think there are kindnesses that can be told in concealed truths, and it's relevant to what the effect of the lie is, what the motivation of the lie is.
Okay, yeah, I can go along with that. Would either of you be offended if I were to come up on the show and just start right away and just say y'all are both lying and you've never spoken a word of truth on the program and blah blah blah? Would that be offensive, or what would your reaction to that be?
Offensive? No. I would just say that you're like foundationally untrue.
I think that it would be like a way to like start off on a bad foot. I think it would it's a pretty big claim. Like both Jovan and I have done countless hours of this show and of other content online. So it'd be like, oh, like if the claim is like I'm just a liar who's always lied, that's a lot of stuff that we'd have to go through. But yeah, I think it would just be a weird place to start. I'm curious to know where we're going.
Right. Yeah. And I certainly wouldn't do that. I guess I'm just trying to kind of poke it here just based on the recent conversation. I just tuned in a few moments ago. Yeah. So I think that all of us, we understand that, like, if you are lied to, let's say it's a contract that involves hundreds of thousands of dollars, and you're lied to about that, no human on this planet, when they find out that they've been lied to and lost all that money, nobody is going to say, oh man, that was not advantageous for society. I wish evolution had fixed that. Every single one of us knows that was just wrong.
What if you're lied to and the lie gives you $100,000?
I'm not familiar with that kind of lie. I've never.
Well,
heard
what
of such a thing.
what if my friend wants to surprise me with $100,000, but he wants to be a surprise, so he keeps lying to me about it, and then eventually he's like, "Hey, here's $100,000 for you now because I'm done lying. Here's the surprise." Like, lies are relative.
Well,
it's just relative to what the goal of the lie is. If the goal of the lie is deceit, then obviously people aren't going to like it. But it's not because I wouldn't call the action of lying inherently immoral. I would say it's depending on the intent of the lie and the impact of the lie.
It is really interesting. This thing of like moral relativism, because like sometimes a few different times in the course of being a content creator, I've like employed little like tricks to get people to watch a video, and then I tell them at the end of the video, like, sorry, this video wasn't actually about what I said it was about at the beginning of the video. It was about something else. I just wanted to get you to watch. But I let them know like what the trick was and what the deceit was. And people in the comments will still be like, I don't appreciate being lied to, and they'll be 100% serious. That it's just like this sort of like moral absolutism of like, you told me you were going to say one thing and then you said something else. I don't like that. And in my mind, it's like, yeah, but I told you what I was doing. It's not something I was hoping to get away with. It's not like a trick that I was hoping you wouldn't notice. It was a device to, to keep you on the hook to watch something that I didn't think you would watch otherwise. And then I, at the end, apologized and explained, it's all like, I just think that like morality is all relative. It's all based on like intention, motive, effect, like what is the outcome. I don't think that, it can just be said to be this hard.
I'm interested how this gets us to like the Christian worldview is better than like an atheist worldview.
Okay. Yeah, so I regret already having used the word lie. I think that's probably way too big an umbrella term for a lot of different things, as you guys have just kind of pointed out. Maybe I should have started with the concept in the Ten Commandments of bearing false witness, which would be specifically lying against somebody's character or actions for the purpose of harming them. But I could see why even that, like in wartime scenarios, might be okay. But yeah, let me try this out and just bear with me here.
Bear with the false witness.
What's that?
I said bear with the false witness. Never mind.
I'm sorry.
That was a bad joke. Didn't land. Bad joke. Didn't land. Keep going.
Okay. I'm going to keep going. Yeah. So whenever we do something that is wrong, whether it's a lie, whether it is, let's just stick with a lie that is harmful to somebody who is innocent. Let's just stick with a lie that costs somebody either money or health or reputation, and we're not in war times. You've just done it to basically trample them down, to take what's theirs, whether it be a contractor lying to a widow about how much it costs to fix her AC unit, or I just tuned in, with a medical community lying about how much it costs to do this procedure on somebody. Let's stick with a scenario like that. I think that we all understand that is not just poor strategy for society, as I've heard, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, so forgive me. Maybe you wouldn't say it this way, but I have understood that atheists believe that morality comes about through evolution and what has historically made up good societies, and the bad societies have all fallen apart, and we're now in a progressively better society with progressively better morals, etc. Am I anywhere close to what you guys think?
I don't want to strong more relativism.
Yeah. I mean, I'm assuming you guys are moral relativists.
I believe morality changes as societies grow. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so would you guys say that it has always been wrong to kidnap somebody? Or does that change from age to age?
It depends. So that question is flawed, and I'll tell you why. Because you're asking us. So for us, yes, I believe it is always wrong to steal someone because it's violating their agency as a human being or as like a person. It violates their agency. That doesn't mean that other cultures felt the same. Like, obviously, slavers don't think they're doing anything wrong when they're enslaving people. But I think those slavers did something wrong based on like a secular humanist worldview. Right.
Yeah, and I would also even say to add to that, like, yeah, me right now in 2026, I agree with Jovan that it's always wrong to violate someone's agency in that way and take them somewhere without the. I mean, like again, you could always come up with an example of like me and my friends break into my friend's apartment in the middle of the night and steal them out of their bed because we're taking them somewhere for their birthday, and we're like we're taking them away and they don't know it, and we're throwing them in the car and we're taking them to the airport because we've planned a trip that they don't know about, but like we cleared it with their work, we got everything taken care of, we just didn't tell them, and so they're not necessarily in active choice about what's going on, but we're doing something nice. We're doing something that like once they get there, they're going to be like, oh, this was so nice, this is so cool. But so there's still, you could always say that there's some exception that would make it relative. But I would also say, like, I can't account for who I would be in the year 1450. Like, I can't tell you, like, nah. Throughout history, I would always have the same moral standard for how to treat people as I do now. Because it's a hypothetical that I can't possibly offer you a definitive answer on. What I can tell you is me right now would say, yeah, you should not take people somewhere they don't want to be and do things to them they don't want done against their will.
Okay. Yeah, that's reasonable. Okay, so going off of kind of what you guys have said about human agency, the animal kingdom, I'm just going off of what I'm assuming you guys believe, and so correct me if I'm wrong, please. I don't want to stick this in your mouth, but I'm assuming that you guys believe that we are evolved animals. What's that?
You said you don't want to stick something in my mouth. I said pause. But resume.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm assuming that you guys believe that we're evolved animals.
Yeah, we're mammals, so yeah.
Okay. All right. And so in the animal kingdom, we see it's just replete with all sorts of things that we would, utterly abhor. Everything from grape to eating your partner to eating your children to whatever. It's pretty messed up.
Yeah.
But none of us attribute morality to that.
Well, yeah, because we've evolved to be able to think more abstractly. And once that abstract thought starts to form, morality can start to form. Like, there's evidence that dogs and pigs and even elephants can operate on some level of morality. Same with dolphins. Dolphins will shun members of their group if the members of their group act in ways that they don't approve of.
Yeah, dogs will get like really sad and like depressed if they feel like they did something that made, the people that they live with upset, or if they, maybe they lashed out one day on a walk at another dog and then like they spend, a few days like, man, I don't like, you can see that, like this sense of like shame. But yeah, it's a matter of like, what is the cognitive evolutionary state of that particular animal? How much are they thinking about their actions and about the consequences of their actions?
But I'm just still trying to understand if the thesis to what you're telling us here is that the Christian worldview is more beneficial to society. I just don't know how I can square that circle when the Christian worldview allows for some really messed up stuff.
The Christian worldview?
Yeah.
Allows some messed up stuff? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, if you actually follow it, most Christians probably don't actually follow their worldview. They follow like a self-constructed one because morality is subjective, and they disagree with a bunch of stuff that God told them it's okay to do. So they construct their own worldview based on the way they pick and choose from the Bible.
Okay, gotcha. Well, yeah. So I guess where I would go with that then is, based on this moral relativism, I don't know what grounds you would have to say that the Bible espouses some messed up stuff. What is your point of reference when you
Secular
say
humanism?
Okay, no. I mean, what's your point of reference other than an ideology? I mean, I can just say Christianity.
It would be the same.
Wait.
What's Christianity's point of reference except for, and it's still an ideology. It's just your ideology is from God's mind, right? Like, this is the thing when we talk about objective and subjective. We're just talking about whether something is or is not mind dependent. The Christian morality would still be mind dependent. It's just God's mind. It's not human's mind. So, like, I have a mind. God has a mind. My mind tells me it's always wrong to enslave someone. God's mind tells him, no, it's actually chill.
Okay. Yeah, so as far as the mind of God, I've been corrected on this before. I guess my morality is subjective also. The Christian worldview is subjective, but the subject is an immutable person, and it is the ultimate person.
Well,
and so
you'd have to prove. You have a big burden of proof there, but we can boil it down. Do you mind going through a thought experiment with me?
That's fine. You'll probably. I mean, I'm sure you've already detected I'm not too bright, so take it easy on just trying to.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that. You know, you're at least like 50 on a Govee watt bulb. Just first question for you. That was a joke, by the way. First question for you. Let's say you're walking down an alley, okay? You're walking down an alleyway. Okay. It's the dark of night, and you come to the stop of that alleyway, and you see a man, and that man is physically assaulting a woman, whether it's sexual or whatever. You see this man physically assaulting a woman, and you know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, you know 100%, you could end this assault with no harm to you or the woman. You could just end it right there and then. Would it be good for you to step in and end it? Would that be a good thing to do?
I like where this thought experiment is going. I will say, yes, it would be a good thing.
Yeah. Would it be bad to ignore it and not stop it?
It would be bad for me as a human agent to ignore it and not stop it. Yes.
Why would it not be bad for God? If it's bad for you to not stop it, why would it be okay for God not to stop it? Especially when God can stop it at even less of a, if you believe in the omniproperty God, he could stop it at even less of a burden to himself. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say that God has given man a very dignified amount of true agency, so that God did not create man and then begin to delete all of our poor choices. He didn't say, you guys here's your choices of how to live, and anytime you make a bad choice, I'm just going to delete that and rewind the tape and get everything going smoothly. He's given us as humans.
That's not the question that he's asking you, though.
Do you agree with me that there are two parties, there are two people in this interaction? One person who is assaulting someone and the other person who's being assaulted.
I do agree. Yep.
Is one of those two people losing their agency?
Yes, one of those two would be losing. Well, I'm not sure. I would have to think about. I mean, clearly they're losing their rights. Clearly, their rights as a human are being violated. I don't know about age. I'm not philosophically adept enough to know if they're losing their age. When you were being victimized by a person, does it actually make you lose your agency?
Someone being assaulted, especially if that assault is sexual in nature, is absolutely losing their agency. because they're not allowed.
Okay,
not allowed to say no.
Okay, I will take your. Like I said, the word agency is not. Maybe I shouldn't have used it when I don't fully know what it means, but I think that that person
would be about your
even
choice.
The person
they're
who's
losing
being,
the choice.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, they're losing the choice in that situation. But I mean, to some extent, we all lose agency every day of the week. I mean, I don't have.
But remember, you said the reason it's not bad for God to not stop it is that God has given us agency and doesn't want to take it. But somebody's already losing agency in this situation. Why is the agency of the rapist more important than the agency of the person being raped? Because God has to make a choice. Either God steps in and removes the agency of the rapist, or God doesn't step in and the agency of the person being raped is removed.
Okay, yeah. I don't have a great answer for that. I would have to think about it. Is there another branch of the thought experiment to go on?
I would also say because I think that what Jovan just said is something you absolutely should take and think about. But earlier when I said that's not the question that's really being asked, there was also this double standard of you agreed, you conceded that it would be immoral for you to watch something like that happening and not try to intervene or help in some way. And so Jovan asked you the question, why then would it be moral for God to watch that and let that happen when God could it would be much easier for God to stop it and intervene? And your answer was, well, God has granted us agency and does not want to intervene with it. But those are two different moral standards. One is we are morally culpable to intervene when we see wrongdoing happening. God is not morally culpable or responsible to intervene. God's morality says, I need to let everyone do whatever they feel like doing, even if what they feel like doing is violating someone in a really harmful, immoral way. God's morality says you need to allow people to do their thing. So the question being asked there is, why two different standards? Why for us is morality, you should intervene if you can, if you have the ability to help. But for God, the morality is you should not intervene. You should step back and let nature take its course. Let people do what they're going to do. And really, which one do you feel like is more moral? Which one do you feel like is more correct?
Yeah, so I think this question needs the context, because in the thought experiment, we're assuming that the victim. We're assuming in this thought experiment that the victim is actually innocent. And so I'm walking in, I'm innocent, the victim is innocent, and there's just this one person doing the assaulting. In God's eyes, there's not a single innocent person on this planet. We are all on a relative scale of ongoing rebellion against him. And so just as it would be unreasonable to expect a king
I'm sorry, Joe.
to step in. Huh?
Joe, please. Joe. I want to just...
Can I finish my thought?
Okay. I wouldn't, and I'm going to tell you why. I don't think we should ever engage in a thought experiment about someone being raped, asking if the person being raped is innocent or not. Just... I don't think there's...
Did you hear what I said? We're assuming that person is innocent?
I think the person being raped is always innocent of rape. Rape is always
for sure.
like one of the worst things you could do to somebody.
Right, absolutely. And they're innocent in that arena. But it would be very similar to two separate kingdoms that are divided against each other, and they have both declared their undying hatred of one another. Is it really the one king's obligation to go into the kingdom of the people who have sworn their undying hatred for him and right all of the wrong in that kingdom that his enemies are doing against one another? God is not.
Yes,
we're not just.
If the king claims to be all good, yes. An all good being that allows for rape is not an all good being.
All good and all powerful, by the way. Can do
And
anything. Capable of doing anything, and the most good being in existence. The totality of good, and also can do anything. And part of that being's morality includes standing back and just letting people do whatever they're gonna do. And what I was asking too is like, how does that square with your morality? Because I think your personal morality would say you should intervene and try to help if you can. And not only can this king, this being, intervene and help, they are capable of doing whatever they want. They can do anything. They like. Why is the moral standard for this being they don't have to?
Yeah, I think the moral standard is slightly different in how he interacts with us.
Why?
Because we have already expressed our hatred of his laws. And so if we break his laws and it brings about grief, sadness, whatever, that's what our whole society is built on. That's what our fathers and grandfathers before us have all chosen. We have all chosen to break his laws, and society suffers the consequences. Just like it's not. I don't know how you get actual free agents if anytime they are about to make a bad decision or a downright wicked decision in the case of this sexual assault. I don't know how you get free agents that are just immediately handcuffed the second they step out of line and do something.
Well, how about this?
Atrocious.
You can get free agents if God's not there, if God doesn't exist, and it's just people making choices, and it's just people moving in a world that is not being policed. I know you don't want to go with that. I know you're a theist. I understand that the concept that there is no governing authority that's watching over all of this is distasteful to you. But if that's the problem you're in, is like, I don't know how we get agency if God just intervenes every time something bad's happening. I'm saying, what if God's not there to intervene? What if God doesn't exist and people are just doing things and we are left to our own devices to decide whether we think those things are good or bad, helpful, not helpful, respectful, disrespectful?
But I also just want to mention, like you said that like we broke God's law, but like God's law said that if you rape a woman, you have to pay her father 50 shekels and marry her, which like, what the fuck?
No, I mean, that's one circumstance where the woman basically doesn't do what is required of a victim of that, which is to cry out for help. If the woman cries out for help, you can come and kill that man who is doing that. So I'm not sure. I would have to get the exact passage that you're talking about. I'm sure.
I mean, it's Deuteronomy 22, 28 to 29. If a man meets a virgin who is not engaged and seizes her, the difference is whether the woman is engaged or not. If you rape a woman that is engaged to be married, then you're put to death. If you rape a woman who is not engaged, then you just have to pay her father 50 shekels, which is crazy that's how much raping a woman was worth in the eyes of God. It was worth 50 shekels.
Gotcha, yeah.
And then you have to marry her for life. You're forced to marry her because he violated her. He shall not be permitted to divorce her as long as he lives.
Yeah, let me turn there. I feel like you're leaving something out, but I may be wrong.
The whole thing. If a man meets a virgin who is not engaged and seizes her and lies with her, and they are discovered, then the man who lay with her shall give 50 shekels of silver to the young woman's father, and she shall become his wife because he violated her. He shall not be permitted to divorce her as long as he lives. They literally use the Hebrew verb tapas, which means to seize, to take hold of. You don't have to see someone that's consensually down to clown. I mean, not unless you're into that sort of stuff.
There you go. Yeah, I'm backing up to 23 to look at this context here, but
it's 22.
Okay, so yeah, 22. I'm at 20, verse 25. I think, this is talking about a woman who is betrothed. Yeah, there's a difference there. I'm not sure about this passage. I guess what I will say that doesn't sit well with me. I don't like the way that sounds.
Neither
but I don't know that I have any. Yeah, but I don't know that I would have any way to justify my bad feeling about this, other than to just say, well, society at this time and place doesn't like this activity, so I guess it's wrong. That's not a very solid grounding. I mean, you can go with that. You can say, today, 2026, we don't like this activity. We have no idea what kind of activity we'll like tomorrow. And we don't know what activity is perfectly fine just on another continent, but we don't like this activity today. So besides that, I'm not sure what grounding you would have to say this is definitely wrong. I mean, I've definitely got to work through this and figure out why this sits wrong with me as a Christian, but I don't know why you could say that is definitely wrong.
Yeah, I would frankly argue that morality is a subjective thing anyway, that it's just sort of like, do you care about hurting people? Do you care about violating people's agency and violating people's trust? Do you care about causing widespread harm? Do you care about pro-social behaviors that are good for community building versus antisocial behaviors that are things that instill, chaos and distrust and pain into communities? And that's a subjective thing. Like, do you care or not? Every time Christians try to make this argument that there can be no objective moral standard without their God, I just am sort of so dumbfounded, because the objective moral standard your God tries to set forth in the Bible not only contradicts itself constantly in the text, in the scripture, but also it's regularly just a very abhorrent standard. It's full of stuff that I think is really gross and really really immoral, that your God says is actually the pinnacle of morality. And I don't understand why you are okay with some of the ways that your God operates, as far as he's represented as a literary character in that book. And I don't know. I think that it's interesting to talk about morality as a sort of relative, subjective, strange philosophical concept, but I don't see why anyone should ever accept the God of the Bible as an objective standard for what is and is not moral or ethical to do, especially when that being can't seem to agree with himself and his own rules from book to book, and also when so many of his rules are so strange and fucked up and kind of evil.
Okay. Yeah, so I can understand why you're saying that.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, there's some things here, what you just brought up, that I need to come to terms with. I need to figure out what is really going on here. But that doesn't answer my question.
I'll tell you what's going on.
Say
you want me to tell you? I can tell you what's going on.
Evil.
I can tell you very easily what's going on. These were laws written by people that wanted to justify the fucked up shit they do. God had no hand in it because he doesn't exist.
Yeah.
That's not plausible. That is not plausible.
Why is that? That's not plausible? It's not even in the realm of plausibility. Explain that one, Joe. How is it not plausible that human beings wrote down in a book, hey, this is what God wants us to do, so that they could justify their desire to do those things? How is that not a plausible theory?
it's not plausible because no human would have come up with the God of the Bible. When you look at
the God of
Muhammad,
the Bible's not even unique.
It's not even a very well written or interesting character.
That is incorrect. But when you look at a religion like Islam, Muhammad
can't be incorrect. It's not a matter of objective truth. It's a character in literature. It's subjective. I look at the character and find the character to be massively inconsistent. I find the character's motives and behaviors to be way more consistent with the way several different human writers with their own agendas would write one character and sort of glue it together for one text than I do to be with the character of some kind of divine being who is speaking through human authors. But like that's my subjective interpretation of it. You can't just look at it and go, that's incorrect. It's not plausible that it could be that the Bible could be the work of human fiction. It's far more plausible. It's infinitely more plausible than that the Bible is an ancient record of the mind and will of the divine creator of the universe.
But also, like just historically speaking, Yahweh, the God of the Bible, is kind of just based off of El, which was the god of the Canaanite religion, like which predated Israelite religion by like centuries. El was the supreme creator. He was the father of gods and humans. He was wise. He was ancient. He was like eternal. He was a judge. He was merciful. He was compassionate. He would literally like. And scholars who study the historicity of religion kind of just recognize that like Israelites just adopted El properties onto Yahweh when they offshot from the Canaanite sect.
Okay, I can't speak to that. Can I go back to what I was saying about it not being plausible?
Yeah, really quick before. Yes, I would like to hear how it's not plausible, but like honestly, what it sounds like when you're saying that to me is someone being like, I don't understand how the character of Superman can behave differently from one issue to the next. I don't understand how this is a character who can move planets with his arms. He can put his hands down and move planets out of orbit, but then he can apparently touch someone soft enough to like make love to Lois Lane. How is he not absolutely shattering her pelvis and all of her internal organs every time if he's that strong? I don't understand how that's plausible. And the answer is he's not real. He's a fictional character that was written by multiple authors over several decades. He's not meant to be held to an objective standard of rules that make sense because he's not real. He can do whatever the author needs him to do, in whatever moment. And your response to that would be, that's not plausible. Superman must exist outside of the realm of the literature that he is in. And I would just say it's infinitely more plausible that the explanation is he's a fictional character than the explanation is he's a real person who just has mysterious properties that we cannot know. Anyway, but go ahead and tell me why it's not plausible.
Okay, so going back to your comment that I responded to, it's not plausible, you were saying that the Bible was written by men to justify the messed up stuff they wanted to do. The reason I say that's not plausible is because while you may disagree with some of these commands given here in Deuteronomy, 1st and 2nd Samuel, other places, no human being at the time, no group of human beings would have come up with this narrative and this God, because there's not a single human in here that turns out looking good. There's nobody.
God doesn't turn out looking good. God looks worse than anybody in the Bible.
But also, that's not true. Job,
and also
Noah,
that's not true. Yeah,
like they all come out. Job and Noah both come out looking great.
No. Noah. We read the story at the end of his life of him getting drunk and disgracing himself and pronouncing curses on his son. He's not clean. Job, same thing. God had to intervene there near the end of Job's conversation with his friends to keep him from taking the next step into
I mean,
from
maybe
doubting
if
God's
God,
goodness
maybe
and
if God
utterly
didn't torment,
eschewing it.
I just feel like maybe if God didn't torment Noah with having to live through a 40-day flood, maybe Noah would have turned out a bit better, you know?
Yeah, what about John the Baptist? What about all of the apostles that weren't Thomas or Judas? That, like, Thomas he doubted, but he needed to be shown the wounds. What do you mean there's not a single human character that comes out looking like a good person? What about the Mary, the mother of Christ? Like, what I don't like what what a strange argument. And also this idea that, like, people could not have come up with flawed characters like that. They couldn't have written characters that have multiple dimensions to them. I just don't like, have you ever read a book that wasn't the Bible? Like, are you familiar with the history of human-made literature and human?
But also,
No,
but
I'm
also,
not trying to be insulting. I'm saying, how do you think it's implausible that people can just write complex characters or characters that have inconsistent motivations and inconsistent moral codes?
So I'm going back to what you said. If you want to backtrack or change what you said, that's fine. But you said the Bible was written by men because they wanted God to justify their messed up stuff.
Sure.
And that is not what we find
men.
in the Bible. We find a God who is
allows for slavery,
constantly destroying these people for their rebellion. The people of the book, Israel, is paraded before the whole world as the most messed up group of people on the planet because God has given them chance after chance after chance.
Yeah, God also commands the Israelites to commit genocides. So he gets mad at the Israelites.
You have a big problem with that?
He said he has no
I said
problem
I have
with that.
no problem with that.
You have no problem with God commanding the Israelites to take slaves and commit genocide?
No. And
well, okay.
Before you,
Mamma mia. Here we go again.
So you guys have a definite moral standard by which you can measure. By which you guys can measure what is right and wrong to decide
secular humanism. Yes,
not right.
Secular humanism. Yeah, I don't have. And again, I already told you that I think that morality is subjective. That I think it's up to every individual, and it cannot be like objectively quantified. But yeah, my personal moral standard is that genocide and slavery are bad. That's my personal moral standard. Right. And you're saying you disagree because God says it's okay in the Bible. And I would say then you have, in my opinion, you have absolutely no foot to stand on in a conversation about whose standard for morality trumps whose. Like, yours to me is clearly worse and corrosive and corrupt and bad.
Yeah, so whenever somebody throws out the idea of genocide, it's completely devoid of the context. God didn't just command the Israelites for no reason at all to go and destroy a society.
He commanded it. He commanded the Israelites to kill the. Wait. The Israelites are commanded to genocide the Amalekites.
I'll let you get on with the next caller.
Okay, see ya.
I'll just let you get on with the next caller.
See ya, Joe.
Right, adios.
Yeah, Joe, I think we're done once you said that you're cool with genocide and slavery. I think we're done. That was a pretty low key conversation until all of a sudden Joe was like, "Yeah, no, I'm totally chill with slavery and genocide." Like, well, there we go. I like it when Christians will at least just sort of like own that part of the Bible and be like, "No, I've totally come up with my own little contextual rationalization as to why sometimes you gotta genocide and sometimes you gotta have slaves." And then be like, "Well, what's your standard for explaining why it's bad?" I don't know. I'm a better person than you. Like, I don't know.
Austin, do me a favor. Go look at the chat in the stream tool about the next call, because I don't know that it's a call you want to take specifically, because it's not a topic that we're discussing.
Let's see. I'm fine with that.
Okay, yeah. We can take it here.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
That was before we do. I'm still.
It's wild. It's so.
It
happens every time.
How do we know the person being raped is innocent?
Yeah. It happens every time Christians call in to explain to us why the Bible needs to be like the objective moral standard for morality. Like every single time, like you have that conversation for long enough and you will get to people trying to tell you why rape and slavery and genocide and mass murder and, and are all okay. Why, racism and tribalism and colonialism, imperialism, why they're all justified and why it's all just sort of up to the whims of whatever this sort of weird, petty, jealous, vengeful deity is experiencing on a moment-to-moment basis. And it every single time, like that's where it has to lead. It has to eventually go to that if they're going to be honest. Or sometimes they'll just pretend like like they'll do the thing. Well, they'll be like the God of the Old Testament regulates slavery, but does not permit for it. There's nowhere in the Bible. Charlie Kirk used to like really doing that one where he'd be like, nowhere in the Bible does he say that it is morally permissible. He just regulates this ancient practice of taking slaves. And it's like, well, he could also say that it's bad. There's definitely plenty of places in the Bible.
But he also
where
he absolutely says it's morally permissible when he says you may do this. Like that's quite literally what morally permissible means. That it is okay that you do this action.
I am simply going to regulate this action by saying that you may do it. That you are allowed to do it. Yeah.
We'll take this next person, Noel, who is they them, a leftist from Canada, who's going to tell us why black people can be racist. Now, Noel, this is a topic I usually run on my own streams, but Austin's willing to hear you out here. You're on the air with Jovan and Austin. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good today. How are you guys?
Chilling.
I mean, I'd be better if somebody wasn't up here talking about black people, but hey, that's where we're at today. Noel, I'd love to know how you're going to substantiate this one.
Yeah, I mean, I have my work cut out for me. I'm not a black person, and I recognize I'm likely sticking my nose in black people. Never would have guessed. I'm likely sticking my nose in black people business, not black people necessarily. What I wanted to understand, from my current understanding, black people are still capable of perpetuating white supremacy. And white supremacy would be racism. I don't think that black people are capable of being racist to white people because of the power dynamic that exists between the races. I don't understand why black people cannot be racist to other black people. And my argument for that would essentially be because, as I understand it, they can perpetuate white supremacy. I would love to learn, though.
Black people who are perpetuating white supremacy are being used as tools of white supremacy. So they are essentially being co-opted by white supremacy to legitimize white supremacy. So like, I don't think white supremacy using black people as a tools makes those black people racist, and it makes those black people victims. They're victims of a system that's utilizing them as a tool. And just because they're perpetuating white supremacy doesn't mean that they get to benefit from the system of white supremacy. They just get they just get spent, their tokens, they get spent.
Does being racist presuppose the idea that you benefit from the racism? Because
yes, you would be of the group that, yes. You'd be of the group that has the political, social, or economic power associated with the oppression. That's why I say all day, black people can be racially discriminatory. They can't be racist.
Everybody can be, everybody can have their little prejudices. Everybody can say like, I don't like that group of people for one reason or another. But racism is a form of bigotry that is inextricably tied to institutional power dynamics. And so it's all about who is benefiting from the institution and practice of racism. And even the black tools that are used by white supremacy to push their message, the Jeff Meads of the world and people like that, so on and so forth, they are not ultimately going to be the beneficiaries of the power structure that is using them to push that message, if that makes sense. So it's really more about like the just institutional power dynamics, just who is benefiting, who is being used, and who is doing the using.
Mm-hmm. No, I definitely agree that when Black people are used to perpetuate white supremacy, that they are not the ones that benefit off. I guess could you point me towards some sources that can better help me understand how it wouldn't necessarily be racism to perpetuate white supremacy when it is coming from people who don't benefit from it? I'll make it more broad than that. Like, not necessarily like when Black people.
I'm just confused on what like what type of source would. I don't even know what type of source would talk about this separate of like me right now talking about it, you know?
Okay. Well, I would assume that this is, when I first read that this was a topic here, I would assume that it was a byproduct of the reaction of me coming forward and saying that Black people can still be racist might in fact be a byproduct of white fragility. And the fact that, you know, I'm not properly internalizing the systems and the structures of power that perpetuate white supremacy and the dynamic as to how Black people engage with that. So
let me ask you a question. What do you think the necessary condition for racism is? Do you think it's institutional power or just participation in a racist system?
Well, I think from my understanding at this moment, I would say that individuals perpetuate the white supremacy that the system imposes. We become pawns.
That's different. That's different of the question I asked, right?
Okay.
For racism to exist, must there be some semblance of institutional power that exists, or do you just have to participate in a racist system?
For racism to exist, there has to be,
for a person to be racist, for a person to engage in racism.
There has to be the underlying system that benefits off of the racism.
Yeah, and does an individual acquire that institutional power simply by participating, or do they have to be a part of the group that grants the power that institutional power is granted to?
Say that one more time. I want to make sure I fully understand that.
If we both agree that the necessary condition for racism is institutional power, so how does an individual acquire that power? Do they do it simply by participating in the system?
So I would say,
or would
as
they
a
have
white
to
person,
be a member of the group that system benefits?
Yeah, I guess you would have to. I guess you would have to be a member of the group that the system benefits in order to.
So even in this, right, even with this, Black people, no matter what the case, they don't satisfy the necessary condition for racism. They don't satisfy that institutional power part. They absolutely can participate in the system, but they don't satisfy that necessary condition needed to engage in order to activate racism, I guess is the word I'll use.
Okay. So, I guess, could you say that when Black people perpetuate white supremacy onto other Black people through, like, internalized racism, is that an act of racism, but it is not a Black person being racist?
I could say, I would probably, as a clarifier, say it's an act of white supremacy.
Okay.
Just to be on the safe side. But like I don't have like a giant contention with phrasing it the way you're phrasing it. I would just say, to be on the safe side, I'd probably just say it's like an act of white supremacy, because like one of the things we have to remember is that acting on behalf of a system doesn't mean that you are now a part of that system. So acting on behalf of white supremacy doesn't mean that you now adopt the outcomes of white supremacy, or at least not in permanent. Like I said, tokens always get spent.
Yep, absolutely. No, I understood the dynamic. I was never trying to suggest the fact that they were benefiting off of this. I think the system convinces people to work against their own self-interest quite a bit. You're talking to a lot of these people over the phone here, and I would say I fall into that category as well from time to time. I'm still learning, but
yeah.
I'm
okay,
curious,
so,
Noel. I'm curious, Noel, just about the question of like when this stuff comes up, because it's like, yeah, we can get into semantics really quick about really parsing out language and what word is right and what word to use. The question I'm curious about is like, why is this an important point to make for you? Why is it important to establish that Black people are capable of pushing forward the cause of white supremacy and acting as tools for racist power structures?
I think that's a good question, and I think I am willing to accept the idea that that is coming from white fragility. Maybe that is implicitly based in the idea that, you know, I am insecure about the fact that white people are being racist, but when Black people engage in that same behavior, they're not being racist. I think that is nuance that I can take away from this conversation, or that's where that knee-jerk reaction came from. I guess, you know, I do place a lot of that.
I think let me give you like just a slight bit of what's the word I'm looking for? Like a comparison. Like take patriarchy, for example. Women will never be a part of the patriarchy, whether they participate in upholding it or not. They'll never be a part of it. Just like Black people will never be a part of white supremacy, whether they participate in upholding it or not. And because they're never a part of the system, I would never claim that like a woman, like when a woman is engaging in upholding patriarchy, because she's not a part of that system, I wouldn't say that she's now the patriarchy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I definitely understand that. On its face, that makes a lot of sense. I think the perspective I was coming, and maybe this is just semantics, which, you know, words, but I would say something more analogous to that would be that if I heard that women cannot engage in misogyny, I would disagree with that. But, you know, I'm also receptive to the idea that women, because they do not benefit off of misogyny, they are doing misogynistic things as a result of the patriarchy. And that doesn't benefit them in that way. And so I guess I'm receptive to the idea of not using acts of misogyny perpetuated by women as an act. I guess I confused myself there. I'm just trying to distinguish that, like, I'm not coming to the conversation and saying that Black people can be racist towards white people in the same way that I don't think that women can.
Really quick, no, we're just getting a lot of clipping on your end. So if you just pull back from the receiver of the phone just a hair, it would help.
Sorry.
Keep
going. I'm on headphones. I think it happens when I talk too loud, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just trying to
the microphone. Yeah.
Okay. I was just trying to distinguish the idea that, like, I'm not trying to suggest that women could engage in acts of misandry towards men. I don't, in the same way that I don't think that Black people could engage in racism towards white people. I wanted to understand the nuance a little bit more about how when a Black person engages in an act of white supremacy, it's not being racist. And I think I do understand that a little bit better now. So that is probably the end of the call. Thank you for letting me order off of the secret menu.
Yeah, no problem.
Order off of the secret
menu. Love your show, guys.
Thanks.
Love yours too.
Thanks, Noel.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah,
the first Noel, the angel. I don't know how the rest of the song goes.
I don't know. It's always interesting when like, like people want to like, because my question with that is always like, yeah, but why? Why is this important to parse out? Because I feel like a lot of white people just are like, I don't want to be the only ones that are capable of doing bad stuff. Like everybody's doing bad stuff, right? And it's like, yeah, that's not necessarily what people mean when they say, that marginalized minorities are not racial minorities are not capable of institutional racism. Like that's not what it actually. It's sort of like like the people. It is perhaps a slightly more understandable version of all lives matter, where people are like, well, you can't just say one group matters. And it's like just a misunderstanding of what's being said. It's like, well, no one's actually saying when people say Black Lives Matter, no one is actually saying only Black Lives Matter. That's not what's being said. It's so it's just a thing that people get tight about. I feel like people just want to be able to criticize people like Jeff Mead and stuff, and I'm like, go ahead and criticize. Like,
yeah, I get. I just started rerunning. I haven't run that topic in a while on my own stream, so I just started rerunning it, and people were very. But what's interesting is pretty much every person I talked to ended the conversation conceding to me that Black people can't be racist, because, well, I, like many other racial scholars, just don't believe in interpersonal racism as a thing. I think that anybody can be racially discriminatory. I have been racially discriminatory. Like, I'm not a big fan of y'all's non-season having ass. That does not mean that I can be racist, because I can't participate in the system in which racism creates. Ibram X. Kendi said it best, in my opinion. He said, racist policies create racist outcomes, and racist ideals exist to justify those policies. So
I like that.
I run that gambit.
I like it.
Guys, there's no more. We have time for like one more caller.
We got time for another caller. This
336-543-2101.
Are you guys mad about Elliot Page being in the Odyssey? Call in and let us know why. Why was it bad to have Elliot Page play Achilles, which he doesn't play in the movie, but but call in and tell us, why is Hollywood going too woke?
I haven't seen the movie yet. Doesn't Elliot Page not even play Achilles?
He doesn't play Achilles. He never was playing Achilles. They lied about that from the jump. They've been sharing AI-generated images of Lupita Nyong'o from a movie that doesn't exist from the jump. And they've been saying, this is who we're having. And I, more than anything, I find I think one of the most embarrassing things about being conservative is having to pretend that the worst movies are good movies, and having to pretend that, like, when you look at Lupita Nyong'o wearing like a gorgeous gown on the red carpet, that like that's not one of the most beautiful people in the world. Like the fact that like so much of being a conservative involves having to like embarrassingly lie about stuff that everyone should be able to agree on is one of, I mean, there's so many good reasons to not be conservative, but that's one of them. Like having to pretend that Citizen Vigilante is the best movie you've seen in years, or having to pretend that Young Washington is a great movie, but that like The Odyssey is trash because, like having to pretend that like, that just like if you met Lupita Nyong'o at a club, at a bar, you wouldn't be like, that's one of the most gobsmackingly beautiful people I've ever seen. Having to like lie about that publicly just so you can push your dumbass bullshit agenda it's so pathetic. It's such a like, what, like life's hard enough and short enough. It's too hard, too short to be just out here flagrantly lying about dumb shit,
Yeah. Also, it's crazy to me because Lupita is so fucking fine. She's so fine.
She's one of the most gorgeous people alive on the planet. And in the film, like there's several scenes where she's wearing like these gowns, and I'm like, yeah, that's that woman is so beautiful. Like that. And then they keep screenshotting these like images of her like in the middle of yelling. And it's like, yeah, I get what you're doing here. It's disgustingly overtly racist. You're finding like the least flattering screen grab you can and being like, this is really the most beautiful woman in the world. And it's like, yeah, if you don't,
it's because they don't find dark-skinned women attractive.
But they do. That's the thing is, I'm like, I really think they're lying. Like they post these screen grabs, and I'm like, post the other one. Go get me the photo of her on the red carpet, like just posing in her gown, like just looking objectively stunning. Like go get a more flattering picture. I just think that I think that they know it's this thing that it's like, you don't actually think Citizen Vigilante is a good movie. You're pretending to
is this
think
a
it's
movie
good.
that I don't know about?
Yeah, Citizen Vigilante is a new film out by Uwe Boll starring Armie Hammer, and it's just this like insane racist right-wing
it has a 10% on Rotten Tomatoes. Isn't Armie Hammer the guy that ate people?
Yeah, he's like hella
was
canceled.
Talking about he wanted to eat people?
Yeah, he's doing what all canceled actors do, and he's going and making right-wing Daily Wire Plus movies. And it's just a movie where I shit you not, he is a white, wealthy landlord. Like that's his job. And he goes around Europe. The movie takes place in, quote, Europe. We don't know where. It just says, literally at the beginning of the movie, it says Europe. And he's going around Europe and he's killing Islamic immigrants and brown people for being the moral rot in society. And he's taking the law into his own hands as a fucking wealthy American landlord who immigrated to Europe. I'm not lying. That's what the movie's about. And it's obviously terrible because Uwe Boll directed it. It's just like a poorly made film, but then it's also terrible because it's just so overtly racist. But like these people have to get on the internet and be like, best movie I've seen in years, knowing that they're lying. It's like when they pretend to like Kid Rock. And it's like, I know you actually know his music is ass, but you have to pretend that it's good. And that's how I feel about the Lupita thing is it's like, how pathetic that you have to pretend one of the most jaw-droppingly stunning people in the world is like not that hot. Like that's so stupid. It's so dumb.
I also saw a really good take because somebody was talking on threads about like it's interesting that that Lupita Nyong'o is playing Helen of Troy, and Helen of Troy is described as having a face that launched 1,000 wars, but they purposely scar her face in the movie. And somebody was like, this is like their reasoning was because the face that launched 1,000 wars was a lie made up by men to justify their reason of going to war. It actually had nothing to do with her. They just made it. Yeah. They used her as a scapegoat.
Yeah. Totally. Agamemnon and Menelaus. Menelaus went to Agamemnon and was like, I want to go get my wife back from Troy. And Agamemnon was like, great, I've been looking for an excuse to go fight with Troy for a very long time, so let's go do it. And of course, all of this didn't happen too. So the people going, well, it's just not historically accurate. Yeah, it didn't happen. It's mythology. Helen of Troy was hatched out of an egg. Like she's not a real person. And also the idea that there weren't black people in the ancient Mediterranean areas is historically and anthropologically incorrect. It's just, you're not correct about that. That you've been poisoned by modern cinema to think that it was all white people all the time, just like you think Jesus was white. And it's just stupid. But also, like, she is gorgeous in the film because she's a gorgeous person.
I gotta go see this movie. Maybe I'll go see it tomorrow with my AMC A-list.
I actually have a theory that the casting of Elliot Page and Lupita Nyong'o and even Zendaya was there's a heavy theme in the movie about xenophobia and fear of the other, and how we shouldn't fear what we don't understand, and we shouldn't fear strangers. We should extend kindness and humanity to strangers because we don't. That person could be a god in disguise. And I think there may have been some intentional thing about casting a trans man and to be like the theme of the film here is your fear of the other is an ancient relic that is outdated and is corrosive to the progress of civilization. I don't know. He might not have been doing that on purpose, but it could be. Could be. You know? So
who knows? At the end of the day gotta end. 336-543-2101, guys. We still have time. We got like 30 minutes. Me and Austin can sit here and gab about movies for the rest of the time. We can absolutely talk about Jellicle Cats. But I'm sure you'd love to hear us get into actual debate. So if you disagree, if you're MAGA, if you're Christian, if you're conservative, if you're a capitalist, why don't you pick up that phone? Why don't you be the last call of the day? We've had good calls.
We got a person in the chat that just said Africa has a Mediterranean coast. You say it's all like the overt insane racism with the way people talk about that movie is so crazy. But also it's like, go look at ancient Greek art from around that time period. Yeah, there were melanated folks about gallivanting about, roaming about. Yes. Anyway, we get into Jellicle Cats.
Jellicle Cats, Jellicle Cats. I don't know who's the bigger theater fan, me or Austin. That would be an interesting battle.
I mean, did you grow up doing theater?
Oh, well, not. I didn't get into theater until like my senior year of high school, and then I got really into theater.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I can talk all day about that, about the form of American musical theater and how I think Stephen Sondheim revolutionized it, and everyone since then has been trying to do what he did. And
miss that man.
And I know, me too. And I think that he's one of the greatest composers and songwriters of the last 150 years. And yeah, we were lucky to live in the time when he was working. But I once almost ended a relationship with someone because she hated Sondheim, and it was like really hard for me to get over. We went and saw a production of Sunday in the Park with George that was really good, and she was like,
my favorite Sondheim show.
Yeah, and she was literally like, a whole song about how he's painting a hat, and I was like, no.
The literal best song in the show?
Yeah, I was like, literally the best song in the show. And she was like, a whole song about how he's just like, I'm painting a hat. Look at the hat. I'm doing the hat. And I was like, the point is the amount of time and care and also the focus on fixing this hat instead of paying attention to the people in his life, and the obsession of the little detail of this hat while the woman that he's supposed to be paying attention to is walking out the door and leaving him. And
that was crazy. That's crazy. Somebody said, can Jovan explain tag and the refutations? Okay, tag is just so dumb. It's the transcendental argument for God. It goes along the lines of premise one, in order for knowledge to exist, or like I'm gonna bungle it. But just know that they never substantiate premise. I think it's premise 2. It's like, in order for knowledge to exist, God must exist, and because knowledge exists, God does exist. Like that's sort of the if then of tag. Like God is the necessary precondition for knowledge, is what they say. But then if you ask somebody who runs tag to substantiate God being why can't the universe, they basically say knowledge can't exist in the universe without God. And when you ask them why, they can't tell you. They physically cannot answer that question.
Somebody did say, I love Cats, but every version is objectively ass. First of all, I always get just linguistically, I always get bothered when people talk about works of art and they say it's objectively bad. If it's a movie, it's a song, an album, a painting, whatever, because that's just a thing that is inherently subjective, cannot be objectively anything. But I would agree with you that almost every version of Cats that's ever been produced is this mixture of like this really interesting musical score that's doing a lot of things with a show that's not about anything. Cats the Jellicle Ball, the reason why it's one of the best revivals ever done on in the history of Broadway is because it took a show that's largely about nothing and it made it about something very specific and very like obvious, that maps on top of the show really well. It made it about Harlem ballroom culture, and it gave voice to an aspect of like Afro-Latino queer culture that has not been represented in musicals maybe ever, and it did it in this really beautiful way, and it's a very good adaptation of the show.
Someone in chat said Little Shop of Horrors is the all-time best musical. That, Chicago, Hairspray, and Hamilton. Hairspray is god-awful. Hairspray is one of the worst things I've ever witnessed with my two eyes. I love / hate, but mostly hate, any story where the white person teaches us to not be racist anymore. I love it. I love so much. Guys, how are we going to not be racist? By listening to this little white girl tell us not to be racist.
Atticus Finch to the rescue. Here he comes.
Can't stand. There are 3 musicals I hate with the burning passion. Hairspray, because of the white savior nonsense. Grease, because I think it has an absolutely dog shit message. And Music Man, because it's Music Man.
Yeah. Fair. Very fair. I think I can get down with that. That's the other. That's somebody said Chicago. I would say
Chicago.
Candor and Ebb are terribly underrated and not talked about.
I would agree.
Yeah, when you talk about like Stephen Sondheim and the brilliance of Sondheim, Candor and Ebb are right in there too, with like just thematic layers and levels, and the genius of Cabaret in Chicago are, generational.
I want to disagree with something somebody said. Somebody said, where did it go? They said Cats is 2 hours of cats singing about being cats. No, Cats is 1 hour and 45 minutes of cats singing about wanting to like ascend, and one cat who wants a connection. And that one cat who wants the connection is the cat that gets to die by suicide.
Mm-hmm.
W to that one cat. Cats is a show about connection. And the way that Andrew Lloyd Webber signifies this is by having all the cats sort of be disjointed except for Grisabella. And there's so much more to Cats, and it's so frustrating because I also get it because it's fucking schlocky and it's fucking nonsense and nothing happens. But inside of that is like the most brilliantly written score, that not written well because it's got good lyrics, not written well because it's melodically like a fun score. Like, other than Skimbleshanks the Railway Cat, I hate most of the songs in Cats, but I recognize how brilliant it is to, we also were talking about this earlier, to basically edge us with I Want songs that it doesn't give us. To give it, every cat should be singing an I Want song. The whole purpose of Cats is they all want to go to the Heaviside Layer. So they should be telling us why they
their case. Yeah.
Yes, they should be made, but none of them do until Act 2. I guess you could say because she does start Memory in Act 1. Memory is technically a reprise, but whatever. None of them do an I Want song until Grisabella does it in Act 2 when she hits Memory. And because you've been edged for I Want songs, there's a reason why I Want songs are usually the first or second song in a story. So when you're edged on that for an hour and a half, when you finally get to it, it's pretty great.
Mahogany Town, somebody in the chat just said trans people are brave but not as brave as the military. That's a conversation I'll have. Call in. I'd close the show on that. I'd close the show on why it takes so much more courage to walk through every single day of your life in a society that is actively hostile to your existence than it does to join up with, the modern iteration of the military, where like a lot of your service is just going to be sort of like hanging out on a base and doing like administrative work, and then even
now they don't have to call in because you just told them the answer.
Yeah, but call in, like debate me on it, like tell me why. Tell me why it takes more bravery to be.
Well, we have Jeff, who's an independent from Florida, who wants to talk to us about trans people in sports.
Okay.
Jeff, he, him, independent from Florida. Jeff, if you can hear us, you're on the line with Jovan and Austin. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you, man?
All right.
I mean, I was doing okay until we started throwing trans people under the bus, Jeff.
No, I got no problem with. I'm all about personal freedom, and so I think if people once they're adults and they want to get all those surgeries and do all that kind of stuff, that's cool with me. I'm completely fine with that. I just want to talk about them playing in sports with the opposite sex.
Okay, tell us about it.
Well, I just don't think it's fair.
Why?
I mean, well, I can say from personal experience, I know this is anecdotal, but I ran cross country growing up, and there wasn't a single guy on. What was that?
Nothing. I made a bad joke. Go ahead.
Anyway, were there people that were faster than you, Jeff?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, that's not fair, is it? It's not fair to have to run against people that are faster than you, that have, they just were born with longer legs, or they just, were born with lungs that just process oxygen in a different way than yours, and it allows them to run faster. That's fucked up. You shouldn't have to, that's not fair. You worked really hard. You should always be allowed to get first place in every contest you ever participate in. You shouldn't have to compete against people who have biological advantages against you, should you, Jeff?
Well, but those people all were the same sex as me.
Oh, as long as everybody's got the same genitalia, it's okay for sports to be unfair. It's okay for people to have unfair advantages as long as everybody's got the same genitalia. Is that what you're saying, Jeff?
All right, look. What I'm saying is...
Hey, Jeff, did you know that Shaquille O'Neal weighed 325 pounds and was 7'3"? Hold on, Jeff. Hold on, Jeff.
That's a big boy.
Hold on, Jeff. Shaquille O'Neal weighed 325 pounds and was 7'3", and he played in the NBA against Spud Webb, who was 5'3", 165 pounds. Is that fair, Jeff? Are they competing at a fair level? Is that a fair competition?
Well, I mean, he ate enough food and worked out enough to get to that point. It's not like he just was born at 300 pounds or whatever.
Yeah, he worked.
There's not a single piece of food, by the way, that Shaq ate that made him that tall.
Right.
I just want to point that out.
That's just genetics, by the way. But they fulfill different roles, and they both had to work to earn their spot on a professional roster, right, Jeff?
Sure.
But
do you not think there should be women? Do you think LeBron James should play in the WNBA?
LeBron James isn't a trans woman.
But he could be. He could decide that he is tomorrow.
Hey Jeff, if I had a cisgender woman, who was as athletic as LeBron James, let's say she's a woman who was born female, and she just by natural whatever, her body is as big as LeBron James. She builds muscle as fast as LeBron James. She does all of this. Should she be able to compete with other cis women?
Yeah, because
then your issue isn't with the advantage, Jeff. Jeff, your issue isn't with the advantage. Then the advantage doesn't mean shit. Because here is somebody who has this advantage you're upset about, but they can compete. So it has nothing to do with the advantage.
Are you saying that my issue is some kind of hatred or bigotry? Because it's not.
Yes. You don't think it is, but it is. But you are special pleading, Jeff. You have a specific rule for trans people that you don't have for cisgender people. And Jovan just proved it. He said, if there was a cisgender woman who had all of the same exact dimensions as LeBron James, should she be allowed to play in the WNBA? And you said yes, which proves that you have one set of rules for cisgender people and a different set of rules for transgender people. You don't think that's rooted in some kind of hatred or bigotry, but it is. You have a separate category of rules and expectations for transgender people than you do for cisgender people. It has nothing to do with fairness. It has nothing to do with whether or not sports should be fair, whether or not athletes have an expectation of fairness. It has to do with you having an internal discomfort with the idea of trans people existing.
Well, just to finish what I was saying earlier when you cut me off, I can tell you're really passionate about this, but just to finish my thought from earlier, anecdotally, in my experience running cross country, there wasn't a single male on the team that couldn't outrun a female. Maybe there were some female sprinters that could outrun males in a 100-yard dash, but when you get a couple miles down the road, I mean, they weren't anywhere close, and I mean, even the best girls in the state had worse times than the JV runners on our team. You know what I mean?
Jeff,
And
do you
it's just-
understand you're talking about an issue that's like, you're talking about like maybe like 30 people in the entire world who are competing in women's sports.
in the entire world?
Yeah, and I
30
mean, like,
people?
yeah, it's maybe like 100 at like the level of like actual professional competitive sports worldwide, trans women. And this idea that they would be dominating, that just every single person who was born and assigned male at birth, it just naturally will dominate and it won't be fair. That's A, not happening. That's not actually how it's playing out. And B, like, you're just inventing a problem that no one's ever cared about, this idea of fairness in sports. No one gives a shit that Victor Wembanyama has a 7'5" wingspan. No one cares. They don't care that Michael Phelps had a unnaturally long wingspan and webbed toes and
Of
lungs
course
that
they care. It's professional sports. That's like there are people the reason we know that.
Then why don't they ban them from playing? If the idea, if the point is fairness, though, Jeff. Wait. If the point is fairness, why don't you say that Victor Wembanyama shouldn't be allowed to play in the NBA? It's not fair. He's too tall.
Well, I mean,
not fair.
It would be fair. I'm not to be a dick or anything, man, but it would be fair.
Anecdotally, Jeff, every time I've played basketball against a guy who was 7'5", I lost. That's just my anecdote. Every time I played against another guy, I lost. And so that's not fair. That's not fair to me.
That's what I'm trying to say.
What I'm trying to say is you don't care about fairness.
Bro, why
you care about excluding. Because I know what the fuck you're going to say, Jeff, and your point is stupid. My point to you is you don't care about fairness. You care about being exclusionary to trans people.
If I can't even finish the thought without being
I already heard you finish your thought, Jeff, and also you sound like you're on fentanyl right now. So I don't like
what?
If I can't even finish a fucking thought, man, why is it fucking... I already heard you finish your thought. You said, when I ran track, all the boys were faster than the girls. And I said, every time I play basketball against someone who's 7 feet, I lose. Who the fuck cares?
That's not even what I was saying. Why are you insulting me, dude, and trying to say I'm on drugs? What is wrong with you, dude?
Okay, shut the fuck up, Jeff. Finish your stupid fucking bigoted point.
Why are you so angry, bro? Relax.
Because I fucking hate people like you, man. You fucking suck. Like, you haven't thought about this for 2 seconds. You got a problem with, like, fucking 30 trans women in the world competing in a sport that they've worked their whole life to compete in, and they're not bothering anybody. Their teammates don't fucking care that they're there. Their coaches don't care that they're there. But Jeff cares that they're there because of the fake concern about fairness. But you don't actually give a fuck about fairness, as we've already established. You just care that a certain classification of person is getting to exist in a certain realm that you don't think they should be allowed to exist in. So you're pretending it's about fairness to cover up your own fucking obvious bigotry. And I'm fucking sick and tired of pretending like that's not the case with people like you. But go ahead and finish your stupid fucking point, Jeff.
Damn, man, this is crazy.
Shut the fuck up and finish your point. Shut up. Finish your point.
You just accused me of being on drugs.
Finish your point. Shut up. Shut up. Finish your point.
Well, what I was saying is that the reason that Shaq is such an idol, and the reason that we know about Michael Phelps' wingspan or whatever you were saying, is because people study those kinds of things to make better athletes.
Yeah, and what does that mean? It means that sports are inherently not absolutely, they have a biological advantage that they were born with. Why are they granted the ability to have an advantage over their competitors, but trans women aren't? Why do trans women have to be worse than the people they're competing against before you'll accept that they should be allowed to be there? Why are they not allowed to have an advantage, but Shaq is?
Because Shaq has like you're right, a biological advantage, just like trans women do over other women. But trans women have an inherent advantage.
So does Shaq. Shaq has an inherent advantage.
He just got lucky. It's different.
Oh my God, Jeff! He just got lucky, so it's different. Trans women just got lucky that they were born trans. Do you fucking know a trans person? Do you have any fucking idea what it's like to move through the world as a trans woman? Do you have any idea how and she feels like she won the goddamn genetic lottery because now she gets to go and steal a bunch of gold medals from cis women? That's how she's moving through the world, Jeff? Really? She's not having to deal with constant... She doesn't play sports. She's having to constantly move through the world, dealing with the bigotry, the casual, daily, day-to-day bigotry of people like you. But she's lucky.
Not that I've
because
seen.
of that.
No. She gets everybody I've ever seen her interact with gets along with her and respects her identity just fine. So do I. And I don't like. There's no.
Then let her play sports, Jeff. If she wants to fucking play sports, and leave it at that.
Well, I just think she should play men's sports. That's all I'm saying.
Why should a trans woman have to play against men? Why?
Because she has the same biological
oh my God,
as
Jeff.
them.
Jeff, you wanted me to let you finish your point so you could say that? You wanted me to let you finish your point so you could say, because she was born with the same biological, after we've already established that not everyone is born with the same biological advantages. You already conceded that Shaquille O'Neal was born with biological advantages. Not everyone in the NBA goes into the NBA with the size of Shaq, with the wingspan of Victor Wembanyama, with the shooting ability of Steph Curry. Not everybody in the NBA has the same physical advantages. We've already established this, but you're saying, but for her, for a transgender woman, the fact that she was maybe born with a slight physical advantage over her competitors means she should be disqualified for competition. One rules for cisgender people, an entirely different set of rules for trans women. Why?
Well, is there a reason that there's a men and women's soccer team and a men and women's basketball team and etc.?
Because men think women are fragile little babies who can't handle themselves against big, strong, strapping men.
Yeah, I'll literally tell you why, Jeff. There are so many sports that should be co-ed. There are a lot of sports that used to be co-ed in the Olympics, and they separated them because the women were beating the men too often. There are all kinds of sports where it doesn't fucking matter if there's a women's league or a men's league. It doesn't fucking matter if there's women's bowling versus men's bowling, women's dart throwing, women's archery. Like, fucking, if the women went head to head with the men in gymnastics, and we separate them because of misogyny, because of the fear of being exposed by them on, on the court, on the field.
Play in the NFL?
There's not even a women's American Football League. What the fuck are you even talking about?
That's my point.
Yeah, and not every. I shouldn't play in the NFL, Jeff. I would.
Neither should I.
Absolutely. That's the whole fucking point. You're totally fine with the fact that, like, some men have biological advantages in competition over me, over you. That's totally fine as long as we all got dick and balls. It's totally fine to have biological advantages. But the second that someone identifies as trans, it's not okay at all for that person to have a fair shot at competition, for them to compete, because they might be taking
a fair shot in the men's league.
With years of hormone replacement therapy, you think that they've got a fair shot competing against that's fair? That what actually happens when we have trans people competing in sports is our rules become, you need to make sure you can demonstrate that muscle mass and bone density and all of these different things have been depleted enough by HRT to show that you won't outcompete your competitors to an unfair degree before we'll allow you to compete. No cisgender person has to go through that kind of rigmarole where they go, I don't know, you're a little too tall. You're a little too strong. You run a little too fast. You need to show us that you're not going to run the 40-yard dash that fast before we'll give you a roster spot on this team. No one gives a fuck about competitive advantages until it's a trans person. And that shows that the actual issue is we do not want trans people granted access in society as equal players. We do not want them to feel like their gender identity is recognized on an official level at the level of sport. So we make up this idea that it's about competitive advantages and unfairness, but it's not about that. You're totally fine with a guy having a massive competitive advantage over other people as long as the people he's competing against are also guys. You don't care about competitive advantages that someone was given at birth unless it's a transgender person. Your exception only has to do with being exclusionary to trans people. And that is why your exception is rooted in your unexamined trans bigotry. And you need to fix that, my friend.
I have no problem with trans people.
I don't give a fuck that you think you have no problem with them. You do. The fact that you're making this argument shows objectively that you do. You hold trans people to a different standard than you hold cis people to. You want trans people to be excluded from the institution of competitive sports.
Not at all. Not at all.
Yes, you fucking do.
Anybody.
Then then what are we talking about?
Sex. They should play against their own sex.
Then a trans woman should play against women because she's a woman.
That's not sex. That's gender. You guys are always
Jeff,
pointing out the
fucking
difference
prick.
between...
God.
What?
Well, we're out of time. See you, Jeff. Fucking hell.
Fucking dipshit.
That was great. That was great to watch. I don't feel like it was great to for you to go through, but it was great to watch.
Sorry about that. I get a little fired up about that topic because it drives me nuts. Nobody who argues about it has even thought about it for 2 seconds. Just immediately. Why is it unfair? Well, born with unfair advantages. Okay, so why is it okay for Victor Wembanyama to have unfair advantages? Well, because sometimes unfair advantage. It's so fucking stupid. It makes my brain melt. And then it's like, do you see how you're special pleading? Do you see how you got what? No. Fucking idiot. God.
Guys, if you enjoyed this show, make sure before in the last 60 seconds of show, you drop some super chats to let everyone know at the line that you like this team up. We're going to After Dark after this. Who's up on After Dark, Lux? Who's Great team, Matt and Aaron. So if you want to get over there, we're gonna what's the thing called? Redirect? It's a raid. Let's just call it. YouTube wanted to change the name, but it's a raid. So we're gonna redirect you guys over to that. Austin, any final words?
Sorry for that rant, y'all.
I think you jumped up 10 points on most of our trans viewers attractive scale. I think you jumped up like 10 points.
Cool.
So
then it was worth it. It was worth it. Yeah.
All right, you guys enjoy After Dark. See y'all later.
Bye, everybody.